I do have to give them a number, they redid,
This lady got these by today. These are the things for ruler. And they were like $500. She has to put them up there if we can. We can't sell these up there.
did she want to do her dryer too? Does it have
Whatever, it's somewhere they like.
When the washer,
yeah. She said it's 2 days, so, I mean,
We're joining really for like the fighting kids weird. And donations of $1.
and you're good stuff.
Like here. Probably it's 5%. They will be come back and see
I've been feeling it for a while. I still think it's very inside. Brereton or Marion Long, even if she just pulled up Florida, she was. Yeah. I'll write that on the back of this, because I don't know why.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Just found out about it. Even that's there, several boys, maybe. Oh, wait. Why is that? Why is that? That's the last thing that I'm at council in since 2014.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, that's what I'm hearing. Okay. Fabulous and you.
Give us those lanes.
you ever go out this way,
place has to be like a plum creek church stuff. Then it must have been back in 2013. That's the last thing that's on that account.
So we moved.
And I guess we somehow, remember they were going to these factories, they'll go here and do that. Then he said, now more than I can. And then, now I guess, sometimes they need to shut down. There's nothing in our system that we're just go on, and maybe we do that now, so it's considered inactive. That is only 2012.
Well, you know, so much about looking at all the looking for, you know, is this adhering to the laws?
Sir, Bill, all right? I'm great.
That doesn't reflect that. Yeah, and I guess that's something still to do with them, but for here and there, he's in on that somehow. Yeah, so it's got to change to that building, because it's never done to our computer system. It never, that's the big yellow. They used to do it like, they used to buy that, yeah, something, but that's, now it's been enacted. I didn't change the name or anything, but that is, it just made a bill to show that it would be official. That was there, yeah, that is.
That usage is just from further fountain. That when Dr. Gary Holbert, that usage is from
Well, last time it was on, it's been, so that's our electric, now the water is not ready. I do too much water, you would have missed just a minute. But everybody sit right and sit tomorrow, children. Sit tomorrow. Waiting for that.
Travis is tomorrow.
county is still
I was playing baseball.
Not anything, utility, but yeah.
I really did stop and play this thing.
He's better, but
It's got where you can sit down.
the bun, and even the tenant, yeah, that's what I mean.
I just cried.
When I was like, that sounds She said your mom was a mess.
I've got my mom. I thought they were scared.
She gave me the deed and everything.
That's one of them.
I changed it everywhere else, but it's that one. No, here we have a sign-up sheet, if anyone wants to take any comments. Before we get started. Chrissy, should I just sign it? He said he'd be here by 7 o'clock.
Everybody said,
These over top of me.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you tonight for this opportunity to gather here. We want to bless each person present. We pray that this meeting is successful, productive, and blessed in your holy name. Amen. Amen.
Everybody got the minutes? Did you find anything with that?
What do you think?
Yeah, you probably did. Do you remember what motion on? All right. You remember second? Under discussion? Amy? Yes, Amy? Thank you. All right, David, since Jason, you're good and step up, so we can get you here and put you up.
Everybody get a copy of it. Got a very busy month, 31 days, so, half thousand. Yeah. We had, so it looks like 7, 8 runs in the city limits of Falmouth. We did have 5 runs down Butler. If you look, the last run of last month, was actually late in the day. So that's why I added to March's report. We had 3 runs down to Phillips Street, down Butler. I've addressed that with the manager as well as the city council about it. So, I had to write a letter to the manager down in regards to the numerous calls to one apartment down there. So hopefully that'll be taken care of soon. I'm sure you all seen the Humvee sitting there next to the firehouse. We got it cleaned up over the weekend. What we're in the process of, we took all the parts off of it. Pete Shields has volunteered and he's going to donate paint for it. So hopefully in the next week or 2 we'll get painted. You guys come here Saturday, strip it all down, sand it all down, get it all ready for paint. And so we'll get that done in the next few weeks. I don't know if everybody's aware that 2604 was out on a car wreck or structure car a week or so ago, and the ambulance hit one of the high side compartment doors, ripped the door off. Did $8,100 worth of damage. I talked to the insurance company yesterday, and the kids collision today, so we'll be getting that down here probably here in the next week or so to get it working. Hopefully get back in shape out the next 2 or 3 weeks. Alonda did mention to me that you guys want us to start giving me a water report. So what I did, I just basically made up a spreadsheet. It's out there on the wall there above the desk. So anytime we have a run in the city limits or the county, or if we fill in the city or the county, we'll document it on a sheet. So starting at the end of this month, I'll give you each a copy of this along with the card report. That way you guys can see the usage that we have. Some of the times it's just a big approximate gallons, because it's kind of hard to tell exactly how many gallons you use. I mean, all the trucks have we know how many gallons the trucks hold. You got to take a few, so. Other than that, I think that's it.
Your PPEs?
Oh, yeah, Friday. We agreed about that. We finally got our 5 sets of gear that we ordered back in July. It only took us 9 months to get them, but needless to say, I won't be using that guy anymore. But I did talk to David Claver, and he knows a guy that sells gear, and I told him to go ahead and contact with him. He had contacted me to go ahead and set up and try to get another 5 sets. And then the guys really like it. It's light. It's lighter than we've had in the past. Very breathable. So I told Ryan to quit grounding, so he quit. So I'm inviting him. But I guess other than that, that's pretty much it. Anything else? You know, these guys, they just stick with that for New Year. So hopefully we get 5 more sets here before long.
You may have a question for David. David did get me some paperwork on the safety grant, one of them. Just gotta get some invoices and stuff together to submit for that, but just got to deadline June 30th. So we'll try to get some of that back from the uniforms and stuff.
We good?
That was the $7,500
I
safety.
think it's 11 now, but
Okay.
Did 5.
5.
10-5.
Actually, it's the state aid.
And we have to when to get that started? June 30th.
It's state aid money.
What's the other number that you said, 71?
I wrote on 7,500.
That was for a year.
That was 7,200.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay, thank you.
And the 5, it's actually state aid money, is what that is.
Right. Anything else, David? No. Thanks, David.
I'll take care of it.
You said. All right. Come on up there. As y'all know, we had violations for moving the water, another violation for getting our tanks inspected. Mr. Huffman, and Mr. Huffman came in and he inspected our tanks. These are all 5 tanks that we've had done. I think she has sent, have you sent them some yet, or?
No, I don't want them all.
Okay, we have pictures, we have everything, and Jay's here to tell us about it.
All right, just to tell you, I'm going to tell you the cold hard truth. You know, you haven't done this in a long time. I'm not the contractor, I'm the consultant. I'm the engineer that helps you get these type of things done. So, it's time to do some work to just about every tank you have. If I had to pick, probably the 2 tanks at the plant would be first. I can tell you that in the last 2 weeks or so, I opened some bids for contractors for very similar tanks to those. Those are basically roughly 100,000 gallon tankers up or thereabouts. And they were the lowest qualified bid that came in on those was like $57,000. So both those tanks need work back there. I actually was involved with one of those tanks when we had some work done on it back in the 90s. And somebody reminded me, Mayor, about your elevated tank. Because nobody seemed to be able to remember when it was last, some work was done to it last, and in talking, some conversation with some other people that I've known for a long time, one of them said, oh, I remember when so-and-so was working on that tank. And I don't know that anybody on this council that would have been around at that point in time, or water company, whatever, but when he told me, I remember when it happened. The the contractor that was in here was working on a per pit, like, repair price, and they were in their making pits. And they got caught. So if you go in that tank, you'll actually, what's that?
It was Dr. Cole was mayor then.
Really?
But they,
Which
What's
tank
in the
was it?
tanks?
the elevator tank out on the tank
Out
on
on
the left.
27th?
What's the content?
Out on Longhead. Okay.
So they were actually making
I remember that.
themselves work. And
What are the contents
Sir,
of the tank?
We're in a,
which this is,
this,
you don't have.
All right, so anyway,
Right now.
that was like 91, 92 is when that tank was worked on last. Because I knew it was somewhere in that neighborhood, but I wasn't sure. And talking with a couple of guys, a contractor, and he says, I remember when that was done. And so anyway, that's when that was done. Long and short of it is, it's kind of time to do a little work sometimes. The two behind the plant I'd like to see you do first. And that would be the least expensive things to do. One of those tanks is probably eating a little chlorine in the system. You know, it's not like you're going to make up a whole bunch of money because you put chlorine, because it takes a long time to use a whole lot of chlorine. But it's time to work on. The elevated tank is ready for some work. I would like the interior, I'd like to see completely sandblasted all the way down to bare metal, a brand new high performance coating system put inside. That's what happens, and so forth. The outside, I want you to work on the outside, but I don't want you to take or disturb what is on the outside of the tank. I want you to overcoat the tank with a product that is actually used on one of the tanks at the plant. And that tank, were you there when they did that? And do you know about what year that was? It would have been about
97, right back.
right in that neighborhood is when it was. So that product was originally designed for doing bridges and things like that because it's got a it has an elongation factor built into it, but it works great for encapsulating things. And that, as far as I know, is the oldest tank in this state that has that product on it. And I think it's done very well. It's really done very, very well.
What it contains?
If you were to go out there and look at it, you would see that there are three coats paint. There's a primer, intermediate, and there's a
1
finish.
second, sir. If you can't just outburst like that, he's giving a report. Let him finish, please.
And so the upper coat, which is not even your thing, is actually just beginning to start to thin and see things. I think that you get away with doing a high pressure wash and and touch up any of the rust spots. On that tank, there's like maybe 10 rust spots with that product. And do another polyurethane on it, you probably get another 12 to 15 years out of that tank before you'll touch the outside. But I'd like that product, you know, if you were to ask me to write documents and do that for you, that is what I would want to do to the elevated tank. It's a dry fall product, it's an encapsulating product, and we already know how long it lasts. It does very, very well. You know, there are things that at one time we used to disturb them and take them off and do things like that, but we have better technology in the industry now. You know, that's proven. You know, 25 years ago it wasn't as proven, but we put it on and we were just saying, okay, let's see what happens. Well, now we know what happens. And so that's what I'd like to do with that. It's a lot more cost effective. The cost difference in that would be around $150,000 to $175,000 if we took it all the way down to bare metal, you put containment all the way around it, and stripped off what was there instead of doing an overcoat. If any of you were in the last couple of years happened to be out towards Mount Auburn, there was a tank out there that East Pendleton runs, and that actually had containment on it. A couple of years ago, I don't know if any of you go out and see that, but that's full containment. Full containment alone adds $50,000 to the price of the product. And that's just to control the dust, sand, everything that's there. And that's when you blast on the exterior of the tank. If you're doing just an interior, you don't have to do that because the tank itself, the container contains all that stuff and keeps it in place. And if you do an overcoat, you don't have to do that. The product that I'd like to see you put on, which is what was on the plan, you know, that's a dry fall product. You know, I have relatively new trucks, and I've parked my trucks right underneath those tanks when those guys are painting. Drive, it falls on it, it's dust, you drive off, it does very well. So, two tanks up on the hill. The steel tank was built around 2000, is doing fairly well. Within probably 5 years, you're probably going to have, you're not probably, you will have to do some work to the interior of that tank. The exterior of that tank, taking over the coat, but you're going to have to do some work on it. And then the concrete tank that's up there, I don't know if everybody knows who that is, it's up there, but I've talked to, the water department and the mayor and so forth, and I'd like to see you do a few things to that. There's not a whole lot that you have to do to that. I mean, I know on the big wish list, I think that some people would like to see a new roof put on that tank, very similar to the roof that's on the steel tank that's on the hill up on Reservoir Hill. Also, that's what we call a geodesic roof, and it's an engineered roof. It is designed, it's built just specifically for these, for water tanks and so forth. That's something that we probably would all like to see eventually. It's just a matter, it all comes down to, that's money. So, the hottest thing on the list are the two tanks behind the plant. I'd like to see you do those as quickly as possible. Within 12 months, I'd like to see you address the elevated tank out on, that's out there, or quick. Now, of course, everybody wants to know how much does that cost. I've told the mayor, I said, listen, you need to probably find about $300,000 to do that type of work. It's not cheap. And if you don't think so, if you want to verify that, call Falmouth County. I've worked for both of them for 20 plus years. We did the Auburn tank, and Wayne will tell you what it costs. I mean, I can show you, I've got reams and reams of bid tags for the last 25 years what it costs to do a tank. I can't control it. It is what it is. So there's some creative ways to put some of that stuff together. If you said, okay, let's do the two tanks behind the plant right now. I would say, okay, that we can do that, we can do a document, put it out to public bid and all that type of stuff. I don't know that I would want to see, that I would maybe actually also put the elevated tank in it for a 2018 maybe project, because I've done that with a number of times. I have multiple tanks. Sometimes I put more than one project in there, or more than one tank in a project for years, and then what we'll do is we let a contractor, depending on what the cost of living might be, we might let them increase whatever the price was from one year to the next, 3 to 5%, something in that neighborhood, which is fair because things go up. So, then you know exactly what it is. They know that they've already got a project, they're more than happy to hold on to it, until the following year. It wouldn't happen in your case, I don't think, but if there's been some small projects where there's small things, I've had contractors just do it. And then you pay them next year, but yours is too big to do that. I think right now, you're probably in about 300,000-ish. That could go either way. It's not going to go 100,000 either way, but it could go 10 or 15, 20,000 either way, depending on what you want to do and what you don't want to do. There are some things that can help maintain water quality within a water system, and those things would add a little bit of money to that project. In talking with water staff, I know that you probably, that would behoove you to probably think about adding a couple of new things to your tank systems. So that's pretty much the long and short of it. It's just it's now time has come. So please ask me any questions you want to, and I'll attempt to answer if I can.
When you say 57,000, you said for the projects you've seen similar to the tanks at the plant, is that each $50,000 each? Okay. And that's for the overcoating?
That is for overcoating, yes. When you go to take now, are you familiar with what's behind the plant? You know where the house sits. You have one, you do the other two tanks back there. One's closer behind Donald's office, and you have one, what I call a downstream tank. That's a tank that has an oxide on it. And the reason it has an oxide on it is because it was encapsulated because it was built in 1966. Okay. So, I lost my train of thought. Those are the two tanks that we would look at. And with them both being there, you know, what you would do is if you would put it out for bid, and you know, you probably would get, you might get a little less than that just because we're, you know, because they're side by side, and you would mobilize from one to another. The time to get really good pricing from contractors is moving quickly this year. I mean, I try to get most of this stuff. I mean, I had 43 tanks this year to get painted. So January, February, March is when I try to put most of that stuff out on the street. Because the contractors have worked all winter. You know, their guys been laid off, they're hungry, so they're all willing to, you know, to do things a little cheaper to fill their schedules out throughout the summer. And so they know that I do that. So they're used to me doing that. So you so the thing is, don't call me in August and say, hey, let's put this out for bid, because I'm going to tell you no. I'm going to tell you we're going to wait till December or January, because it would be less for you to do that.
Okay, and then itemizing the one built in 2000 and the concrete one. So I know thought was put out there, $450,000 for a new roof on that. I mean, break down what that looks like for the new roof, what that would entail.
Did you say you had a number for
I
your roof?
I heard something.
Oh, no, it would be, we're near the hell. For that kind of money, I'd tell you to fill that
That's
thing
good.
up with dirt and let's build a new one. Or let's turn it into a swimming pool or something. No, it's not anywhere near that kind of money. The pro roof on that concrete tank, that geodesic style roof like you have on the steel tank, you're probably in the 125 to 150 range. You're not anywhere near 450. At 450, I'd probably do it for 450, and I'm not the contractor, I'm the consultant. So no, it wouldn't be anywhere near that. Now, if you would like to pursue that, you know, if I move forward and I do some work with the city of Falmouth on this stuff, I can give you some very good numbers for doing that eventually. You know, that in itself would probably, see, there's only like three of those manufacturers in the entire United States. So that alone probably wouldn't, to save you a little more money, I would probably put that out as its own standalone project, you know, instead of having it on the tank. Even though it is a tank, I wouldn't have it on the tank repair and painting project, because there are different guys that would do that. You know, there's painters and then there's the guys who do the roofs, and they're not one and the same. So the painters would do it, and all they would do is go out and get estimates and prices, and then they would add 15 or 20% to whatever the price is to cover their groundwork for that and so forth. You know, so but no, it's for that, it's not, it wouldn't be that much.
How large are the two tanks?
The two tanks on the hill, or the two tanks behind the plant? The plant. Behind the plant, and then one's 100, and you consider both of them 100 or 150 and 100 and 175?
One's 210, one's 110.
Okay. Because I know that the older of the two is right around 100, or no.
It's fixed.
Yeah, it's the older ones.
200.
I started at 4 this morning, so I'm trying
I
to
know that.
I remember all this. So you're roughly about 300,000 gallons behind the plant. You have roughly 1 million gallons, I think, up on the hill.
640.
Give or take a little bit, because nobody knows exactly what the concrete tank is. I mean, I could do the math, but
You can do the math.
yeah, but the problem is that, you know, the problem with being perfectly accurate on it is, you know, it was done back in the 70s, so you add this much concrete to it, so, yeah, it is what it is. So, and then, you know, you have your elevated tank, which is 250. Yeah, that's 250,000 gallons. And so what do you consider you have, because your ground tanks don't count in daily storage. You might get away with the one you might be able to fudge and count the one up on the hill because it's up on height. But division of water doesn't really count ground tanks so much. in your daily reserve, they're stored, but they're not, you know, they don't provide pressure. That's like your elevated tank provides pressure. Now, those two tanks up on the hill do provide low pressure because they're up there. You might be able to fudge, I don't know, how does Division Water consider your?
They consider those storage tanks.
Yeah, they consider them as part of your day and a half
Yeah.
plus
So we have a
storage.
little over a million. but-
Okay, see, because they don't always do that. You know, if it's a ground tank that's sitting on flat ground and you run it out of a pump house, they don't consider that.
It's 250 feet maybe, all that.
Yeah, so if you're high enough up on the hill that they all count that. What do you have to have for your day, for a day and a
I
half?
think about a day and a half.
Yeah.
That would be 1.5.
But what's 1.5 is what your day and a half storage is with you?
We've got 1.1 up there storage.
Right.
Then the 250 southbound. So we'd have less than 1.5 storage.
You don't have any, all right, so what I'm getting at is you can't abandon anything. And stay within what the Division of Water wants you to do. That's why I was asking. And if you're going to abandon something, it would be one of the tanks up on the hill. In my opinion, it would be the one that we're talking about putting the roof on. That would be one that I would abandon if you were gonna do that, but you can't say it didn't say guidelines to do that at this point in time. So, plan to operate all right, but each one of those tanks out separately in the back.
Yeah, we've operated before.
How about taking the elevator out up on the hill?
Yeah.
What makes things a little bit
One
harder?
house.
Does it affect Pendleton, East Pendleton, or
Probably the
Pendleton?
only effective would that would be our operation hours. We'd probably go to longer hours because of the less hit, room for us to work with.
That happens. I mean, you know, when you do maintenance on tanks, that happens, and sometimes, you know, you get low, you know, some people have low water pressure. You know, there's things that happen, you know, I had that conversation with water operators every time we did something, and, you know, before contractors come in, I say, listen, here's what I want you to do. You have to do this. Don't do this the day that because a lot of these tanks haven't been taken out for 15, 20 years. You know, they haven't been valved off out of the system, and the system runs nice. All of a sudden, we take a tank out of the system, and we start blowing lines, people don't have enough pressure, and things happen. So, you know, what I want you to do is I want you to isolate the tank for 2 or 3 days, and let's see what happens. Don't do that when the contractor comes, because if you wait until the day the contractor comes, and then you blow lines out of the ground, you hold him up for 2 or 3 weeks, I'm going back and I'm telling him, you need to get that, because they're sitting there waiting for that. So there are things to do ahead of time, and it's pretty simple, you know, so.
So the ones that we're needing to get done this year, you said roughly 57,000 each for two, and everything else you want completed by the end of next year?
No, well, the elevator, I'd like to see you do by the end of next year, and, you know, and there's a constraint. And that constraint is usually about October to November or Thanksgiving, or not, I mean, April to about Thanksgiving. You know, that's kind of the painting season. You know, there's some paint guys out there that'll tell you, you know, you can paint at lower temperatures here and lower temperatures there. You're working outside, you're coloring outside the margins. We know what works. April to about the first, or about the end of November. Anything beyond that, you're just asking for it because you're fighting the weather and everything else. You know, let's do it when we have the good weather to do it. Don't work outside those guidelines if you don't have to. I would like, I mean, you know, and unfortunately, I mean, I have to tell the truth and tell you what's going on. What I've given you is now public record, all right? So you guys, you're already with Division of Water. You already know that they kind of giving you some questions on some things. So that will get them, that will satisfy them. What I gave you should satisfy the Division of Water for a little while. Okay, because now you've had your tanks inspected. We've told you what you need to do. But the next thing that's going to come is they're going to say, okay, when are you going to do what they told you to do?
Do we have anywhere close to that in the budget right now to do that for this year? What about like grants? I mean, before I this before, there was some like.
There might be some in the reserves. Doesn't we have-
Bill Mitchell is working on some grants.
Well, I know that she she and I talked about finding some money. You know, there's a little bit of grant, and you just have to go out and look for grant money. The easiest money you get is KIA money. It's one of the easiest monies you get.
And I will tell you,
My
I
under-
tried for a KI loan.
What's that?
Last year, until we do our rates.
Right, they're not even gonna talk to you.
They won't even.
They don't do it. You know, there are emergencies, I mean, there are loans that you can get from them directly. I mean, we just got $800,000 for a system in Western Kentucky. I mean, it's cheap money. I don't even think the rate was 2%. You know, over a period of like 30 years. So it's cheap money, but
So, how often do you go out and inspect tanks?
all right, so the Division of Water would like for you to have your tanks looked at every 3 to 5 years.
And ours hadn't been looked at in many, beyond 3 to 5 years.
Well, on this, I mean, you work for Wet and Dry, correct?
I own that company.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. Doesn't the state come in and inspect our tanks?
No, they do a sanitary survey. They come and they want to see if you've got fences around tanks, and if your overflows are working. They don't go up on the tanks or go in the tanks or anything like that. All they're doing is, they're kind of coming out to make sure that you don't have things going on that shouldn't be going on around your tanks more than anything else. It's a sanitary survey is all it is. They don't have anybody like us on their staff that knows a water tank inside the tank. So,
And do we pay for this to get inspected?
and yes, it's been a while.
Thank you for giving us a clear picture of what we're dealing with. Would you say that the elevated tank, you say, could potentially be put on project one, which would be the 2 tanks at the plant? You would also kind of bundle that into that project as well, right? That's what you're advising.
You could do that, and what you could do is if you did that, it would be one project, but it would be 3 separate tanks. All right, so the way I do a lot of that stuff is I have, you know, like say, the little tank, one of the tanks behind, just say the elevator tank, and we wanted to put some accessories on it or what have you that I think that you should put into it. A lot of those things are line items, and so I can take something out a whole lot easier than I can put something in. So I line item things, and that way we can, you know, if we just don't have the money, we say, okay, we don't have it, so we can slash the budget a little bit sometimes if we have to. Depending on what kind of money you have, you know, I would probably want to see the elevated tank. I mean, since I'd like to see it done in 17, and I can tell you there's probably an entity in this state that's going to want that also. Or not 17, but 18. I would put it on there, and we would do it, we would look at maybe trying to do it if you had the money. I mean, we maybe 17, 18, maybe 18, 19, I don't know where you are on that. You would put it on, and it would be, if we did 2 tanks at the plant this summer, then we maybe would do the elevated next year just because of money. Or if it all comes in and you just go, we just can't do that, you know, whatever, it can come off. The thing about it is if I do it that way, you only pay me once to write documents. And my fees they're like 2% of whatever the project would cost to do a set of documents, have meetings with contractors, you know, to do all of the technical type stuff. And come back in here and tell you, all right, you had 5 bids, here's what they were, here's what your low bid was, this is a decent contractor or it's not a decent contractor, and you need to skip this. This low bid doesn't always necessarily get there. And I've been doing this for many, many years. All right, so I don't have very many not so good contractors bidding on my projects because they don't want to do things the way we want them done. They don't want to do the things that my inspectors make them do, which is follow the document. They want to do it their way. There isn't their way. There's our way. And our way is the way that gets you the most money, the most bang for your buck, because we told them to do it. There's no shortcut, and they know that. So they know that, and they know that I also also don't write change orders very often. It's very rare for me to write a change order. I mean, I'm not perfect, I make mistakes every once in a while, but it's usually not very much. So,
So basically what you're saying is in any project proposal, shoot for the moon and what we want in terms of the line item, and then we can cut from that as needed.
absolutely, that's exactly what you should do.
And that's-
And I can write it. I can do, I mean, whoever you have to do it, you can kind of do that, but, I mean, that's one of the things I spend a great deal of time doing is writing documents. So, and getting that stuff out, so. But yes, that's one of the things you can do. There's not hardly any contractor around that'll work on a pay by the month or pay by the quarter kind of basis. You know, unfortunately, it just doesn't work that way. You know, in this particular business, you know, it's you know, the guys that pay streets don't do that either. And unfortunately, it's just not like that. I mean, I'm willing to help you try to find a little money, but there's knowing a little bit about where you are financially, it's going to be very tough, you know, for us to do it now. Somebody else, if you have somebody else on your staff who maybe can work some more magic, then maybe that's the case.
Works more magic, meaning grant writing,
Yes.
knowledge.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Potentially.
that goes back to an issue I think we've been dealing with for a while that I wish that we had already addressed, but we have a certified grant writer, but grant writer with, who else?
Angie Whiteman is also has hers too.
I only did one for just how much you need.
I just got mine, so it's just to get it started.
More
You want the thing?
Part of the problem with that is it's really hard, it's kind of hard to get money that way to do infrastructure repair with, unless you're gonna just wipe it out and replace it. If you're gonna wipe it out and replace it, it gets easier. But to do something that's on a rehab, it's a lot harder to get that type of money.
Well, I definitely like to see, just move forward on getting bids and find out what a concrete number would be on that.
We could do that. I mean, I could do a complete set of documents, we could put the thing out for bid. I think this is relevant, what I'm gonna tell you. Wayne, the Peach Grove tank, we're probably gonna get, I think we're gonna have somebody do some painting on it, the exterior of it this year. And I think that we're still, I think that the Kidwell tank that belongs to Pendleton County, headwater is gonna get painted this year. So the reason why I tell you that what makes that more relevant is that when you have a contractor in the area, and I have 2 or 3 projects or more, we get, sometimes we get more people, they're more willing to do things a little less so they try to get them all. Rarely do they ever get them all. You usually get split between 2 contractors, but they do try. And so you end up getting a little better pricing sometimes. And so that's why, like I told you earlier, I try to run stuff in January, February, March. I bundle, certain projects in different parts of the state. I'll have, like right now I have 7 tanks that are coming out in western Kentucky. So those guys are gonna be all over that stuff because we held off on one of those last year to hold until this year because we had so much more that was coming, and so we knew that we were probably gonna get better pricing to do that. So I mean, I'm your champion. I want you, I'm gonna try, I'll help you. The contractor's not my concern. I'm gonna do what I can to make sure you get the most of what you can get. That's one of the reasons I want you to do overcoats and not full removals. I could explode your budget to a point where you didn't even know it existed anymore on these tanks. If you wanted to do a certain way. But I don't want to do that because it's not necessary to do that. Because there's better technology out there, we don't have to do this.
But yeah, in the meantime, I know, no time, but I would like to talk to Bill Mitchell. I know he used to work for the city and he has a lot more knowledge on this subject. And
You got
at least
to
reach out to
this
him
year,
and
years
see.
before, and we did the same thing, so, but we can try. I mean, that's up to you.
I'd
I mean,
least like
we're
to explore the
grant
option.
from Falmouth, but then it was, 2010 since the last.
Yeah, but you're also talking about $20,000 investment every year
Right.
for a potential $3.5 million that you get every 3 or 4 years. It pays off.
Yeah.
If you have a certified grant writer who, by the NKDD, is known as infrastructure extraordinaire, when Covington needs problems with that, Lisa Cooper told me that in her office the other day. The executive director of NKDD said, when I need infrastructure questions, I turn to Bill Mitchell. If he's done that in the regional economic development, I mean, you use our resources. No offense to Christie or Angie, I think you all would
I'm
say,
not thinking any
you all
of
don't
that,
have the
we'll
knowledge.
get grants yet, so.
You're so busy.
Right, I mean,
And these are very
it,
detailed, you know, very.
it's just a
detailed.
total,
But
like,
you might be-
$3,000 grants.
You can also use whoever's at the ed district too, they will also help you with it.
It was.
You can, absolutely.
I think that he was involved with the penalty county. Well, the East Penalty County, the Auburn, the now Auburn tank that we did about 2 or 3 years ago that I had done, I think he was involved.
Oh, he was, yeah, because the city, the county still, yes.
So, you know, you also had your county judge who used to be the one. And I know it, you know, because I've worked for everybody around here for a long time. You know, I can do what you're asking, I can write a set of documents, we can bid, we can have meetings, we can do all that stuff. And, you know, the only thing you're gonna be out is you're gonna be out $2,000 to us to do that. Because you have the right to accept, reject everything. But if you go down that road, and you don't take anybody's bid, and you wait a year and you do it again, if you had 10 bidders, that list is gonna shrink. Okay, because everybody put a number out there, and there's some of them that will not come back, you know, because they had a number out, and so they don't feel like they're playing on a level field anymore. Okay, and so when I write documents and put projects out, they don't even ask me anymore, but you know, every once in a while somebody new will come along and they'll say, well, what's your estimate? I don't do estimates. You know, if I give you a $500,000 estimate, everybody bids at 480 or 490. So.
What's your timeline in terms of how quick it takes you to put together a document?
Since I'm up to about right here right now with work like that, I can actually make it I can make it happen pretty fast. I mean, I can make it happen within a couple of weeks. Your paper comes out once a week, right? The Falmouth outlook, that's been in the application. And what day does it come out?
Every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday, so they probably want to add by Thursday or.
Thursday.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm just guessing, that's what I figured. So, you know, it would go in the paper roughly right after that happened. I would have, you know, all the painters know about it. I mean, I've got a list that goes out there, you know, people all over the country, you know, they know that these projects are out. And so they, you know, I would have, there's a mandatory meeting, you have to show up. If you don't show up, you're not eligible for it. So you have to show up, you have to know what's going on. I have a meeting and everything, so after it hits the paper, we can't open bids faster than 17/7, and we can't do it any later than 21 days. So it would be, this is April, it would be running for, if I could get onto it almost as quickly as I could, it could happen by the first of the month. You would know a pretty good idea where you are by the first of the month.
And how much are you gonna charge us?
Well, mine is typically 2% of whatever the contract would be. I think you're gonna be around $300,000. Once again, I'm gonna caution you, don't spend your money having me do this if you don't have it to do, or if you don't think you have some money to do something, because you're gonna burn a bridge, and you don't wanna do that, because there's only so many contractors that do this type of work, and there's a bunch of really bad ones, and there's a bunch of really good ones. When my name's attached to it, you don't get the bad ones, because they know better. But don't burn that bridge. If we put this out for public bids, you need to think about having some money to do something.
What do we have now?
We have some aside, we don't have 300,000 aside, I mean,
Well,
we already budgeted.
could you do one of the tanks behind the plant? Could you come up with $60,000 or $70,000?
Yes.
Okay. If you can do that, then you're not burning a bridge. But if you, right, what I'm saying is what I told you a minute ago. If we put something out for bids and we just reject everything, you piss everybody off. I'm just telling you how it is. I mean,
This is kind of a different note, but the clean property, what's the update on that? And we got the letter on stamp on that, but.
That's what we're gonna do in a little bit, yeah.
So,
I think
be
about
serious, you're gonna do it. I mean, I don't want you to I don't want you to go fishing.
Right.
All right, because if we come around next year and you say, hey, let's do this again, your prices are gonna go up.
Well, if you're saying that 60, then we at least get started on one, but.
You could do that. And I would like to have all three on there, and we could, you know, we can talk about that, and you kind kind of see where you're gonna, where you might be able to go with someone, you know, a little further down the road and things like that. And that gives us a little flexibility, you know, by doing it, say, okay, we're gonna do maybe something in 2018. Okay, so that gives you time, and that will satisfy a state agency that's on you right now, probably also.
Yes.
All right, and it needs to be done in,
Oh,
you know, and if you don't think it does, if you don't think it needs to be done, come up here, I'll come up here tomorrow. And
we've been
we'll
discussing this for
take
a
a
while
look.
now.
And I'll show you exactly what it needs to be
Hey,
done.
you ready, buddy?
I know that we have asked, I have asked the water department to also put together a priority list of beyond just the tanks of what else we need. So, well, I think it's definitely a hot topic. We definitely need to explore what all of our needs are for the water department.
We do.
And could you make us up a list of
We have
everything?
I was asked to do tanks, that's what I do, I don't do plant stuff, you know, I mean, I might get stuff painted with the plant, but I don't do, that's not what I do tanks.
So I'm assuming we would get documents to review as a council prior to
Yeah, all
moving
these.
forward.
Yeah, you
Get
get
all
all
that.
that.
Miss Energy support.
It has pictures, it has it all.
But that's not, yeah.
It has for each one. This is the shoals, reservoir, this is the reservoir, this is the plant.
Yeah, that electronic format too.
You do it.
Yeah, I gave it to Kristen to give it out to everybody.
They're all
But I'll tell you,
separate. One, them.
They're large files because they're very picture heavy.
Yeah, they have a lot of pictures on them.
It drives me crazy and I can't figure it out because I'm not smart enough to do it. But every time I convert it into a PDF, it throws my pagination completely off. But I'm just, for the last 20 years, I still haven't been able to figure out how to get that stuff right. So, if you look at an electronic version of it, there it is. Listen, they know how to get a hold of me. Obviously, the mayor knows how to get a hold of me. If some of you look at some of this stuff, you know, or some of this electronically, you look at that and you have a question, ask her for my number or call me on the phone. I'm more than happy to talk to you. My phone never gets turned off. If you call me at 11 o'clock at night, I probably won't answer. I might let it go to voicemail. But, you know, I'm more than happy to answer any question. And if you want me to come back up here and take you out for tank site and point something out to you specifically, I can do that. I mean, I'm more than happy to, and that's what I do. I mean, I'm here to help you do this. I'm not the contractor, I'm the consultant that will help you get this done. And ask around, you'll find out why they use me around here for
The
this.
one thing I haven't asked you, and I don't think I have asked you, but when we take one tank down, how long does it take you to go in and do what you need to do and get back out?
It's not,
Well, I mean, but how long does it take them? I'm talking about, because since you know so much about this stuff.
the two little tanks behind the plant, those tanks will go fast.
Okay.
Really super fast, especially the one behind her office. It was
Okay.
real fast. You're probably, those two tanks, each will probably be down probably 10 or 12 days. It would be decent. The elevated tank out on the hill, that'll go for 3 weeks or better. That takes a lot longer because we're not working on the ground. We're now working 160 feet in the air and
Right.
and there's a lot more logistics that go along with that.
Okay.
But those little ground tanks behind the plant, those things will go really quickly. And that's one of the reasons why there's not anywhere near the amount of square feet, you know, in those tanks or any of that. So they go quickly, they're easy to do. You know, there are some guys who only do those style tanks. And there are guys, if you can do an elevator, you can do those. But that's just because you can do the standpipe style tank that's behind the plant doesn't mean you can do an elevator.
Okay.
So, you know, but those will go very quick, especially if you do overcoats on the outside.
Okay.
That is one of the things, you know, we don't want to really disturb some of the stuff that's on the outside of that because of its location. You don't want to do it. So, I mean, you all, you know, I'm more than willing to help you, you know, have Todd or Denise or Mary call me if you want me to help you with that. I'll do it. You know, it's okay. What?
Don't, not
Yeah,
don't.
but
Hot minute.
Well, we can say that. So,
I wanted to paint one of the tanks behind my office to say hot, and the other one to say cold.
we had two tanks. She's telling you that because I told her. We had two tanks in the city and down in Dare, down in West Kentucky, and they sat within 50 yards of each other in the middle of the city. I kept telling her, let me put hot and cold on. He kept saying, no. He says, I'll get little old ladies calling me, telling me their hot water's out. Don probably believed that too. Yeah. And you know, about 2 years later, he finally came up to me. I was at a conference teaching or something. He said, in retrospect, I should have had you let those guys put hot and cold on those. I said, well, you got some publicity out of it. You know, one of the closest tanks to you, the newest paint job is the one in Dry Ridge. That was my project, the red, white, blue tank that's in Dry Ridge. That was painted 2 winters ago, right at the edge of winter. It's not. So that tank, Florence, you all. Now, I grew up in this business. My family owned a company of paint and repair tanks for 60 years, so I come by this naturally. All right, I'm not in that business anymore. I've been in the consulting business for 25 years. But when I was growing up, my family's company painted that tank. Now, you can go on the internet and you can look this up. The mayor claims he did. But I'm going to tell you right now, it wasn't the mayor that did it. It was my father who did it. Because it said Florence Mall on it, because that's what they want. I mean, you Google it on your phone right there. The mayor takes credit for that, but it's not true. And we were all standing there because I was there when it happened. My father told us, how about we do this? And they liked it, and then they took it and ran with it and claimed that they did it. I was there. I know they was. But you don't have anything that you want that's going to get turned into an icon. You know, there's no reason for you to do that. You just need to do what needs to be done. So, all right. I've taken up an awful lot of your time. I hope I've educated you. If you have questions, please ask us.
Wait and see what time.
Yeah, I mean, I hear that like time is of an essence. It's important to go ahead and get this started because you've got time to get your part of it ready, and then when you put it out to bid, we need to do this and do that. We've got the money budgeted. We're in the time frame of painting.
So if we get started
What
now,
else
we
do
just
we
can
need?
have for
Because
us
we
by
got
the
this.
first.
No,
I mean,
that's
I
what
mean,
we
I know
got.
what Todd needs
Is we got-
priority on this stuff.
We've got some fines coming, you know, that's what I'm worried about with what is important, because I've seen where on the one tank, but I don't know what else is important that would take up our money elsewhere.
Doug, are you looking at what I gave you?
No, I wouldn't look at this.
Violations, that's what she's looking at. She's looking at the violations.
Yeah,
Like,
That's
we
what
won't
she
get
gave
time for those.
That's what she gave you.
yeah, but it needs to be repaired though.
Yes.
Yeah, we have to repair, and we have to have money to repair, so, and I'm like, ooh. And, like, also, yeah.
I also feel like we sort of need to hear from Todd too, to
Yeah.
see. A lot's been thrown at us this month, water-wise.
Do you have anything
I feel like a
else
water
that's
droplet
taking priority
floating
over
around.
something? Anything else that would take priority that needs to be addressed prior to a tank being fixed?
The water quality or?
Just anything, just, I know you have a few things that need to be.
Would this be the first thing, as our water supervisor, that you would see that would need to be done?
I've been working with Jason, I guess about 98, trying to get this done, so I think it's about time.
Okay, so then, yes, I would like to make a motion to move forward on this, getting bids and get the process going.
What the water quality?
Would that be on
I don't know what
all things, or just?
Okay, but you said that.
Two behind?
Thanks, penalty, shall we go ahead and run it off the pressure?
Well, might as well get it in bid now. so-
Well, she knows about that, you know, I'd like to see the prices. And at least the elevator tanks for sure. One's behind the plant probably, I don't know, because that's right where it goes, right there, before it goes up the hill.
Well, also, too, we have fixed a lot of things.
I don't know.
You know, what's just what.
The elevator is-
You got that motion and.
Got a lot of-
Yeah. Okay.
Motion, what motion is?
I would like to make a motion to move forward on the process of getting bids put out for the 2 tanks that you find that are priority, and then also the ones up on the hill that you would think you need done by the next year.
What was the last part of that? I'm
The
sorry.
ones that, the one you said up on the hill that you would like to see done by 18?
Oh, you're talking about Shelby.
Elevator.
Yes.
So the one out on 27?
Yes.
Okay.
When you say, I think you were,
That's fine.
It's still like this.
So, the ones that are flat priority, I don't think it's on those.
And I don't know how Jay suggested that work. Did you say how you were already gonna do it? Did you say how you was already gonna lay out the bids?
I can do that. I can do all three of those tanks, and we can do, you know, you can take, and I just tell them up front, you know, I've done this numerous times, is whereas you might do, if you have money to do one, you might do one this year. And we tell them, look, you know, this is like for 2017, it might be 2018. And if we're gonna pursue that right now, we would say 17, 18. If it's gonna be, if you came to me at the end of this year, then I would be 18 months.
What do you look, I mean, would you not recommend that, so you can better prices now?
Yes.
As opposed to making
Yes.
some job?
I mean, you know, we can always throw, you know, that gives you, you know, it'll give you a little time to, you know, to do that. We can award part of the contract, you know, and I've done that. I've awarded part of it and with it, you know, with the condition of you getting some funds and things like that. But that helps you see where you are, and know what you have. I mean, you know, if it's not the same as rejecting everything, because rejecting everything and coming back out for bids for it, that's bad. Yeah, but if we bid it, we award some of it, something happens, whatever, you can't come up with the fund, then we can stop Sunday. Okay, and it's not nearly as bad as put it out and then go, we can't do that, and then come back out a year later and go, oh, let's do this again. You know, if you were contracting like that.
Right, I understand.
Yes, so that's why I caution people very strongly about don't do that. You know, because you're burning a bridge when you do that. So I mean, I can get documents written and that type of stuff out pretty quickly. It already will come out in next week's paper. I don't have a calendar in front of me. I'm not smart enough to be able to see it in my mind, but whatever. The fastest I can make it come out would be not the next paper, but the following, whatever week that is.
Is this,
Today would have been, today was your cutoff, right? No, but it came out to the paper came out to that. So it's Thursday, Monday night? Okay.
Thursday, now unless you notify them of what size it's gonna be, then, and that it's coming, then it can be Friday.
our next scheduled meeting is the 9th of next month. You have everything by then, and propose it?
It'll be an ad, it's a public works ad, so it's a legal notice.
To call them by, I mean, the whole thing.
They typically cost somewhere between $400 and $600. You know, because it's a legal ad and the paper knows that. So they get to charge you a little bit more. So let's see, paper came out next, 18th, I can hold, potentially bid meeting, 26th. Boy, it would be close. As far as being able to get this done. Maybe. Be real close. I mean, I don't like to open bids on projects on Mondays because a lot of guys, you know, a lot of contractors they're not all in it, you know, so I don't like to do Mondays because of mail and next day air type stuff with me, you know. I shouldn't worry about that because they're all big boys and girls, and so they should know that if they want something to get there on Monday, that when they put it in there, but I guess I'm somewhat of a babysitter, so I don't do it on Mondays. We could actually, I think you could actually possibly maybe open bids on the 9th. It's very possible, and since you have a meeting that night, I usually do, a lot of times I'll open bids either right before lunch or like right after, but if we were gonna do that, I could have it set up where we open bids, you know, 4 o'clock in the afternoon or something. You know, where we're closer to your meeting, obviously, I would just say, and we would talk about, you know, who was and that type of stuff. Where I think you are with that, good, bad, or indifferent. You know, they might surprise me, everybody throw a whole bunch of money at it, well, no. And I'll tell you, no, that's too much. So, it's possible, I count those days.
April, you have something else wrong? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay, Amy?
Thank you, sir.
I think I can make the night. I'll see what I can do.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll just write you down for the 9th of April.
But you'll see it come out the paper.
And that's not what it's, question.
Who's gonna be my point of contact here? Them, you, I don't care, it makes no difference to me. Somebody I need to coordinate.
Because for your publishing, your stuff like that, you're gonna want
I've got her email address. Like when I send stuff to the paper, I'll copy I'll copy several if
You
you
can
want,
CC,
so that you see it,
yeah, you can CC,
you know, because the ad will be, you'll get invoicing for the ad, the paper's supposed to get an affidavit run. I don't know why it's so hard to get an affidavit run out of the paper anymore, but it's really difficult to make that happen. Oh, thank you. Because actually, I have that. Because I just did, because when I just did it before.
well, you can CC, Chrissy too, because what we're doing is we're keeping a file here, not only with them keeping the file, we have a file here too. So if something is said, or this, something is said, this is, we have a lot of people looking at everything. So that we can CC Chrissy. Or you can CC me too, it doesn't matter.
I think if you
We'll see if I can make it, I'll see if I can make it happen also, because we're talking about doing something with him, or about doing something with the kid, what time?
Okay.
If they would come on, it would help all of us, not just you, but it would help them also. So I'll talk to Wayne, I talked to him here a few days ago, I'll ask him about what he wants to do about that. And I'll give a tentative, and also,
All right.
see what they want to do, because it would be better for all of you. Not me, because that's a whole lot of paperwork on my plate, real fast.
Anybody have any questions? Good? We good?
Thank you. Okay,
Thanks, Jay.
no problem.
Appreciate it. We stay for my home.
Like I said, if you look at that stuff, if you have a question, please talk. I mean, I have no problem talking to you about that stuff. All right? So, there you go. All right, see you.
You want to do Ryan real quick? Ryan, you want to step real quick, reading the rest of our updates? She said you want to be here quickly now.
So total 20 after.
And then-
That went a little long.
Start, Mike, or do you want to?
No, go ahead.
What we have in front of you is an update to the city of Falmouth flood ordinance, which would be the flood damage prevention ordinance from 2004. This amendment gives us an update, most current state recommended update actually, and it also incorporates all of our previous amendments since 2004 into one document, which brings up our language. So what you see is, which Mike's drafted up the ordinance here in front, but then the attachment to the ordinance is the whole flood prevention ordinance. So, you'll notice what we have here is the words that are lined through and bracketed are the words we're taking, basically deleting from the document. The words that are underlined and also in red font are the words that we're adding to the flood ordinance. And the yellow highlighted sections, they are actually amendments that we've done previously with other ordinances that we're just incorporating into the document, so we can have a document with a bunch of amendments to it. So really the first changes come on page 20, which is under specific standards. And what we're looking to do is, it's basically adding 1 foot freeboard to the flow ordinances, and it's really rubbing the standards according to what the state would like to see. These are about as strong as you can get according to the Division of Water and FEMA.
Hold on a second. If you're looking for the big flood that he's talking about, that was sent to your email, but if you want a hard copy, I did print out a couple if somebody wants to see it. It's going along. Maybe did you want to see it?
did not print out.
Yep.
I know I read through it.
There's some.
You do?
There's nothing. Maybe.
But this is following up with our meeting we had in January, our club meeting. What we've done is we've taken the first step since our club meeting, and we've actually had our letter of intent sent into FEMA. And we also have our community assessment visits taken care of. We got a good report back from the state, so those went to FEMA. So now all we're waiting for is to get lined up with the one person that covers 5 states for FEMA that does our CRS visits, and she'll come in and assess our ordinances and basically take a look at our community assessment visit, practice in good standard. And what happens then is approximately somewhere around October, or at the earliest, if we don't reach the October deadline, we do in May, if we get accepted into the system. What it is at that point is a point system for community ratings in FEMA. So every 500 points we earn, we get a 5% decrease citywide on our flood insurance premium. So the fact that I'm a certified floodplain manager counts a good bit towards that. So we figure we're already doing nothing, at least getting 10%. But this is the ordinance that they think you should adopt to get the maximum points we can get. It's a little bit more of a pain, but our ordinance already is a pain. And from what I understand from the city is, what we really need more single-family home ownership than the floodplain. And the only way we're going to get that with our flood insurance situation is to decrease those premiums. This is the only way we're going to head that direction, is to up our ordinance a little bit. And it's not going to pain people. You're already seeing it, this ordinance isn't increasing that much. What it's doing is adding a 1-foot freeboard. What that means is you build a new home in the floodplain now, instead of previous ordinance said you can build it at what we say is the 100-year floodplain, which, for instance, is probably 3 or 4 feet over on Pelton Street. Let's just get that kind of number, over there. That's about accurate, not perfectly, but so say you have to build your first floor. And the current ordinance at 4 feet above ground level satisfies the flood ordinance. But we're now going to ask that you go to 5 feet. So the reason why I recommend the 1-foot base flood elevation is because flood levels tend to rise historically. They don't want you to write an ordinance going good for a day. In 10 years, it's not good anymore. You have your new homes are in the flood zone. For instance, we saw a 3-foot rise 2013 from 1997 actually. That's not going to happen again. The reason that is because LIDAR, the increased technology and everything, that's more accurately what we should be. But a 1 foot should give us a little bit of a buffer there, so if it does rise again, it might most likely want to rise a foot over a 10-year span due to construction downstream. It takes a lot of construction downstream to rise the floodplain. So we'll still be okay as far as the structure we build. It won't be like, for instance, like the H&R block or, those buildings like that that built floodplain in 97, and then we had a 3-foot rise, and now they're back into floodplain. So that's why we're putting in the 1 foot, and that's all over the ordinance here. Also, we're asking for mechanical equipment and duct work to be raised up out of the basement in new builds. That's so when the flood comes, you don't wipe out your mechanical systems. So it's just less checks they have to write, and what we're doing to protect our investments, the more credit we're getting on the other end. So that's the whole deal with that. That's the main things, I guess, that will affect us. The historical properties they still qualify for your exemption, so that's not going to affect our downtown improvements any more than it affects them right now. So we're not changing anything as far as downtown improvements go for historical buildings. What we are doing is there is a section I'd like to note here. Enclosures for properties under the floodplain. That's something you're going to see in language. We're actually adding 2 paragraphs, and that reads as it says total floor areas enclosed areas under the base flood elevation should not exceed 300 square feet. What that means is if you build a house above the floodplain, the first floor, the mechanicals are above, 20 foot above the floodplain. Say you put a garage underneath of it. You can put a cinder block garage, and it's supposed to be vented like you see structures around town, you kind of have flood vents and things in them. You can park underneath of it, you can have electric and things like that under there. But if you were to put an additional room in that basement, it can't exceed 300 square feet. So that because it's not properly vented, so like, say you have a garage underneath your house, build your house on the flood level, the garage under, and then you want to build like a workshop or something underneath. Well, those interior walls don't act the same way in a flood as the exteriors do, so they don't want you to go over 300 square feet. And I don't think that's probably, that's extra language, it gets us extra points. I don't know if it matters or not, to be honest with you. That's what they recommend. They assure me it's not a problem. It's kind of my opinion, if somebody is willing to build in the flood zone or willing to elevate their house 5-6 feet in the air, they might have an understanding and they're not going to do a lot with that basement, with that area underneath, besides parking and storage and things like that. So it's just, the reason it's in there is because they don't want you going in a few years down the road and permits are given and say, well, now it's time to put junior bedroom down there, because that's not the point of it. They want to make sure that stays flood tolerant. So that's some additional language put in. Also, we have some language on fill that doesn't, believe me, I do construction work, this fill stuff, but it only applies to commercial, and it's just adding fill on lifts so it doesn't break away or anything, start disintegrating. Any commercial building built on fill, they're going to want to do it with lifts anyway. That's basically standard practice. That's just saying you're putting fill and you're building on fill in a floodplain, we want to make sure it's quality fill. So that's what added language. We also have a riparian buffer zone we put in. That's actually helps control the speed of floodwater runoff, and it helps with water quality. It's just a vegetative buffer strip for any development you do along the river, which we recommend with zone anyway. Also have a sentence in here that any new subdivisions, if somebody was constructing a subdivision within the 100-acre floodplain, we'd like to require them to have an emergency access road. It doesn't have to be paved or anything, it just has to be a way into that subdivision. If we were to have a 100-year flood, it's saying it cannot be covered with more than 6 inches of water. So you're not building a subdivision, the only way in and out is 10 foot underwater. If we have a flood, and we got houses trapped with no way out. So we have to have a way, if we have a 100-year flood, any new developments that are considered subdivisions have to have a way in and out if their main entrance is, a couple feet deep under the floodline. For instance, if it's, I don't think we have anything really qualified, but that's what they mean by that. So, other than that, we have one extra paragraph we're adding. It's critical facilities. It's just saying the critical facility fire departments, we already have ambulance out, police stations, any new critical facilities we build in the future should not only be out of 100-year floodplain, should be out of 500-year floodplain. And that's because you don't want them underwater. So basically the ambulance is already qualified, being out. That's saying if we build a new fire department, build a new police station, we need to build it high and dry. So that's all the changes we're making, and this will give us a considerable amount of points for the CRS if we get into it, which will be more deductions on flood insurance across town.
And just to reiterate, this is for those changes you're talking about for buildings. That's for new builds, not any pre-existing structure or only historic?
Well, it is, if you do over 50%, increase, if you do it. If you have a building and you want to put more than 50% of the value of it into it, it would qualify for that as well. But, a lot of, historical is exempt, of course, but it would probably, like out commercial, so to speak, like if you're out there at Ace Hardware or something, you want to redo that up to over 50%. You don't have to raise the building or anything, you just got to flood proof it, up to the level where they consider a flood. So, there's a lot of different ways to do that, and either flood proof to the point where flood comes in, everything's elevated, and you're just losing, a little bit of merchandise, or whatever, the building isn't entirely infected or demolished or anything, or you can actually do dry proof to where you seal the doors, use these like rubber strips and things, and pressure seal the doors and openings, and plumbing and things, where water can come back up, and actually, like they did along the Mississippi River, a lot of them stores, the river will basically go around and they'll be dry inside, so there's a couple different ways to do that. But yeah, if you get over 50% of improvement value, you have to meet these standards. But you have to do that anyway with the current ordinance. This is just saying we're going to add 1 foot to how high you have to go with increasing those standards.
Are you ready for first reading? That's what we're up to tonight, is the first reading to get started on this. And as Brian indicated, I drafted an ordinance to cover this. Christie will give it the next number. The title is an ordinance of the City of Falmouth and Findlay County, Kentucky, amending ordinance 96.05-2004 and section 152.01 of the Falmouth Code of Ordinances in order to update the city's flood damage prevention ordinance to include provisions of the current Kentucky model flood ordinance so that the city may receive credit under the Community Rating System Program, CRS, thereby qualifying for lower flood insurance rates. I can attest that Brian did a lot of work on this. He took our current ordinance and compared it with the current Kentucky model flood ordinance, paragraph by paragraph, to see what we needed to put in our ordinance to be able to achieve the highest level of flood insurance rate reduction. The byproduct of this also is, by doing that, he's getting everything in one document. What was being handed around is the original 2004 document, which indicates there were 3 or 4 ordinances that amended it, including the one that you just did in January with the fee ordinance. So it's all going to be in one document instead of having 3 or 4 different documents. So that is the first reading. Just for your information, Brian was talking about pages, but Article 5, Section B, E, F, and G are the ones that are being amended. I didn't find any provisions that were being struck out, so you probably don't have to worry about that. But for drafting purposes under Kentucky law, if you're adding something, underline it. If you're deleting it, you strike it through and put it inside brackets. So if you all are having a hard time getting to sleep, you probably want to read this late at night. We'll do a good job for you. So that's first reading.
Any more comments?
I'm done.
Anybody have any questions? For Brian?
Thank you for all your hard work. Appreciate it. The city residents are gonna appreciate you.
We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Hopefully we reduce flood insurance.
I hope so too. I wish you could do it by May, but I know you won't be able to do it. Maybe next year.
And hopefully,
Speaking of more ownership of single family homes, Jared Perkins went ahead and emailed you all. He went on a trip, and saw a really great program that I think he wants to discuss with you all about. And he said something about taking and paying for a couple of members who want to go to see how this program is working in Atlanta, I believe, is where it's at. So you all just keep an eye out on the emails for that.
Thank you, Mayor. Anybody have any questions or thoughts about Mr. Hoffman, and thanks for,
Is everything that he's saying sound like it's what you need to do?
yeah, I've known Jay for 20-some years, he's been in business, he's always been at the top of the class as far as construction and painting and coating. That's really top. Does anybody have anything on the first part of Don's water monthly report? Anything on that? we're going to water loss. I'm sorry, now the bill reports. Alex Carson came on the plan a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if all of you know. I think Mr. Sebastian was supposed to come with him, but he got detained. I was wondering, if you kind of interested in, could we come up with some number for the cost to produce 1,000 gallons or number of water? So with Chrissy's help and her staff, all those together, go burn with a little water. Came up a few weeks ago. And we have now some more costs of our operating expenses and the cost to produce 1,000 gallons. What I'm looking at is not that. What is that on?
Keep going.
Next to the last page.
Yeah.
67.6.
Page 6, Dr. Green, page 6, bottom of page 6. It's not numbered, it's bulletin.
Yeah, it's right after, right, there you go.
Yeah, it says 66.
Looks like planned labor, hourly wage for a month would be $8,000 and change. We list all the chemicals. And this is for, remember, this is just for the month of March.
Yes.
So, you know, it would differ from the month of July or the month of October. So it could be up and down. Because, I would think you'd have to take probably a 3-year run or something to get a close idea of average. Electric costs $6,300. We never even thought to worry about electric. So that was nice. We're going to that to excavation break report. I don't see anything, so I mean, that's good news. We didn't do anything.
That's like the problem.
The electric and manpower is your two biggest costs on water. It's not what it is in the wastewater plant, too. It's about 5,000 repair. That always just came out of the you and you never really knew.
I just put in the usage and then we calculated.
So it'd be good, I think, on paper, to take it away from the water and pay the electric. That's just not all.
Jerry says, come on.
Let's go to the use report. We did 28,707,000 gallons in the month of March, and we lost 10,428,744, 36%. That surprised me.
That's less than what it has been, correct?
Please.
Is that less than what it has been?
No, about
But,
30% and a little less than 30 is what it used to be, so I
okay.
haven't looked at it for a few years.
That was pretty good.
We had 40 last month, but we didn't have
That's
numbers.
what I was
We needed to
thinking.
calculate it accurately.
We didn't have those numbers, but it's less than that.
Does anybody have any questions about any of this? We can talk and throw out numbers online.
Todd, do you feel, and Don, you don't feel like we have the information you need to create, to actually create this document? I know last month there was questions if you don't have the right information to produce this. You all feel like that's an accurate reading of, true accurate reading of our water laws?
Dawn spent a lot more time with it than me, so she wants to.
And David Marcus going to give you that, and then be even this. Next month, once we get more of the fire department, it'll be even better.
And also, I mean, like residential water loss, are you all tracking that?
It's
So
all
when somebody comes in and says, hey, we have a water leak,
It still goes through their usage, so I mean, their usage will be stored in that. Well, I mean, now if Gary has leaks or something, that would be on her reports. If it was a leak that was not metered,
Right.
then he would have that with information and stuff. So, and like you told Dawn, this will be like a year or so, and probably even said 3 years before we'd have a real accurate, but this is getting started and doing this every month, and
That's what we just need an average to work from, because
We could go back for years.
yeah.
KIA always say, hey, what's your water loss? Well, we don't know. We have no idea what to tell you.
It shouldn't be more than 15%.
Right. And that's what they're gonna say to us too, so we don't.
Yeah.
Does anybody have anything? Let me catch up. We do have a minor problem with wastewater plant. We failed the acute toxicity test for the month of March twice. What that is once every quarter, we're required to take a sample of the water that we return to the lake and have, I think it's blood minnow fry and some sort of water fleet that's to live in it for 48 hours. They didn't all make it. Only one, I think, died.
You go dining.
You know,
That's what I was wondering, I mean, how many are there? I mean, we have
45,000
there.
of them. I don't know how many they use in the test, but I think they use numerous ones. And you're allowed one to die. That's too much for us.
What happened if they had kicked in, you know?
This is the second time. The time before it was ammonia. This ammonia was high, it was winter time, we was taking a lot of leachate ammonia, and it was high ammonia, pretty much all the road off. This time I don't know, because none of the parameters were outside of the norm. So that should have been, ammonia was like 6. Should be okay up to 18. Dissolved oxygen was 8, can be down to 7, so everything was as much or more than it needed to be. And we still failed the test. We failed it the second time, the same evidence of nothing really pinpoint. So we need to figure out something. Have to write, create a corrective action plan, like we have before for other things. Part of it is to identify what caused this, so that's going to be a little tricky to figure out what caused it, might not be what caused it. But I just want to make y'all
And
aware.
what are they using to test this?
They're using clubhead minnow fry, little things, fry, little big dish. And I believe it's not a water additive, it's a water fleet, which is a microorganism.
So are we in violation,
No,
are we in violation of this, or is this something that we need to?
Well, we'll have to sample, we're required once every 3 months to pull the sample. We'll be
Okay.
required to do it for 6 months straight without anything out, more than one.
Is this the first time you've got this?
Second, we had it happen 2-3 years ago.
In what
But we
way?
had not known it then, so we kind of knew what it was, and that's why we built the corrective action plan around it. It was kind of evident. This time it's not, and we can do a bunch of lab work and money, and we try to find out. I think maybe we just fall off here with, we think it's probably something in the leachate. We've been doing a little less than more. But we've had good numbers. See if they'll accept that. Bring it back on track, whatever it was, and go away. Right, spend some time on it.
This, before Jay left, or after he left, I was thinking, is there anything we can do in-house with the roof or anything at the Reservoir Hill?
I think he pointed out that all of us, there's some things we could go up to the tank and like foam the cracks and seal it better. With the roof, the wall down, it's only like 2 foot or something down to the base. Seal the cracks, things like that. Keep any kind of animals out. Do that, some temporary thing or Band-Aid or something.
We put some new metal around some areas, it was a violation, so we've got that too here.
So in terms of the 8 violations that were issued on February 28th, and there's been a lot of action taken to rectify them, but inadequate staffing, what work has been done on that front?
We have 2 that are going right now for training, which is Craig and Travis. We have to staff with all class 3s. So we have to start at a pivot point, figure out.
So how many do we have in class 3 at this point? Just 1? And we need at least a backup, which is where we're getting the people from another.
Yes, we've done a staffing plan, they were arranged for Cynthia to come, if Todd's not available, they're on call to come and help and assist anytime until we get up to speed. And I even asked them, because I'm like, we've been staffed like this for a long time, why? But it just happened to catch us now, and now we're saying something,
This has
so.
been a regulation for the whole 30 years. I've been-
Yeah, so it's not like it's new, we've just always been okay.
Yeah.
But they're all, I don't know,
No,
they're all.
I was seeing number of class 3, aren't they?
They made them, I mean, I'm just talking
Yeah.
about.
Is there anybody
So,
else?
yeah, I mean, it's the last.
Yeah, when we had Elsa and Gerald, we had myself, 4, we had 3 people.
But now, we're just down to 1.
Yeah, because good people, they would normally cut you off 12 reps now.
Yes.
I'd be fool something, so. Simple math. 12 hours here or 20 downtown.
And then, so everybody's working on their certification then?
Travis and Craig are in Louisville right now.
Okay.
With, hopefully, Travis will come home on Thursday with a class 3, and Craig will come home with a class 1. We hope.
So he wasn't a class 1? And he was doing,
Yeah, they allowed Travis to take a class 3, considered an emergency situation.
Right.
He was allowed to take a.
because I know
Even though didn't have
he
the
was just a
actual-
class 2, correct?
He was class 1, but he didn't. He could have got his class 2 at the time,
Okay.
but he didn't have time for class 3, so they allowed him. So that was unusual.
In regards to the other violations, it looks like what you provided in terms of, ask Todd and Dawn to create a document, gave me a priority and cost analysis of what they needed to get the treatment plant or the water plant up to, not snuff, but to where we can get by and feel confident about it. So it looks like in addition to what Jay said tonight and what you provided, was about $470,000 total, just to get us up to where.
Yeah, I think that would be short term.
Right. And that's just to be where we're not in violation of 1,000 fines and whatnot, so, okay. And that, I think it's important for us to know as a council, just kind of what we're looking at in the picture. So while the reservoirs are a major chunk of that, looks like there's still about $119,000, $120,000 at minimum to bring other equipment up to snuff. Most of this looks like it's 30 years old, 15 years old. Looks like 3 decades worth of work to be done. So it didn't happen overnight, but it's not going to be.
It was really good, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's not going to be fixed overnight either. But
I know the basement's pretty scary. Dawn forced me to go down there.
Scary.
It's scary down there.
he also did rate this high priority or not high priority. So the top listed here shows kind of what's a major need, and the reservoir is not included on this report. So.
We didn't include that because we knew Jay
Because
was
the
coming.
was coming up. I just want to make sure that the 470 approximate total was what we're looking at to bring everything up to snuff. Not snuff, but. So.
Are there two new meters on there? Is the raw water meters and that on there? 'Cause we just put their
Yeah.
Trinity meters or whatever they are.
Yeah, there
We've
are
got two new ones.
the total raw flow meters on here. One.
Go to that.
One meter calibrated, so looks like we'll be able to utilize it. It's the raw water that we always have trouble with when we run the carbon feeder, so I'm afraid when we turn it on in a week or so, we might have issues with that meter too.
And that was based on state requirement. They wanted that anyway, right?
The other meter going out did not calibrate. It needs work, so we're looking at a company that do repairs and replacement on venturi tubes as our measuring devices, the differential pressure device. So we're looking at a company that can come in and rehab, so to speak, these venturi valves, which are no moving parts, pretty simple. They're 30 years old, they're clogged up, is what the problem is. We've got 2 new turbine meters and 2 new monitors. What else do you know?
No brushes.
Yeah,
That's
brushes. We've been pretty busy trying to get as much as we can do done. I think Don said that we got everything in.
Everything was mailed to Prison Water today.
How long does it take them to review that and get back to us on what next steps need to be taken?
Matt told me yesterday that mail this, as soon as he gets it, he'll look over it. He'll come back down for a follow-up visit. And when he comes back down, if everything that we told him that we were gonna do, we did, then we'll close our violations.
go ahead and give one part of it while Todd's up here at the field room hall that we were waiting on to hear back from Frankfurt. He emailed me back, and he just said that he does have our cap, and he's reviewing it. Him and Diana had looked at it last week, and they've got some notes and stuff, but they still haven't gotten back with me, and this was on the 28th, so I'm just waiting on him to get back with me. I'm not rushing him or anything, because he's the one that we're waiting to get back to have a phone call with the reorder and stuff. And I had asked him about that, because he never get in touch with us, and he just said that he felt to schedule it, and he'll get with us. But for right now, they're just working on it, looking at the cap, and gonna let us know how that all looks. So that's regarding the pre-treatment and the SSCS and stuff. So I have everything on it.
Anything else from me?
I really appreciate the priority list, to be able to do that. It's usually helpful for us, so.
I think I'll be a little bit slicker or smoother than little dog.
Maybe I'll have to let what I've done, and just kind of like that, we want to try to do rush tires, we want to try to do that, we want to try to do that May 8th through 12th, just a little bit more away, so everybody knows.
Is that what you're gonna do it on? So working on utility bills. Okay.
Did you hear that, Phyllis? Just don't flush the hydrant.
May through 12.
Close your toilet.
The lid was closed.
Well, that's.
Oh, that ain't gonna be fun, that's not.
No, that's what's better, when they chat.
We had a call Sunday, was taken care of within a matter of 45 minutes.
Sewer, it just everyday stuff.
No big deal.
That happens all the time, so.
Our sewer line again, Gary, when you gonna run all the way through?
Probably when weather starts breaking down a little bit, we try to get it before it's
Will you
hot.
let me know so that I can make arrangements to have somebody there to guard?
And what we would do is try to get. I don't know what's been.
You've never in my life been scared of my own house and all that noise.
What I like to recommend is people to put plugs in their basement floor drains for these problems. I don't know if you come up with your basement floor or your toilet or.
It was my toilet. All of a sudden, all this noise started when they made this noise and it was, I'm trying to find it, and it's the toilet walking back and water.
That would be great, like if people do, because you at least put towels, even though you close it.
What does that,
seal it,
people put those, they did not put their caps in the correct way years ago.
Right.
Now this is what it is. So
It's scary.
when we run the jetter of water pressure, it just throws water every which way.
Yeah.
It goes up and even.
And it makes sounds. People need to know that it makes noises.
You ever heard the thing of Bob and Tom about the dishwasher?
No.
Married in the dishwasher?
Jerry, I think on the same route, obviously we started with water because that's where the violations were, but I think it would be helpful to the same point to get a list from you and your department of what, again, it's a wish list, so it's not saying, here's a really good, and we're gonna buy it all.
Well, let's see, we can.
Yeah, I mean, we need to know this stuff.
Trucks.
I think it'd be good to know just kind of prioritize list, kind of what you're looking at. Because we don't want a situation where it's been 30 years, and it's like, we need these things for 30 years. Well, the council doesn't know
Right.
unless it's brought to us. So it would be nice in the
I think
next.
they've created a wish list for years, haven't they?
Oh, yeah, and we've got electric that's outdated, we've got valves that need to be put in, I mean, it's just a matter of money.
But again, I think it'd be helpful to have a prioritized list for council to review.
We need to, I'm gonna get them or you so we can have it.
Right. Yeah, we did electric back, what, 18 years ago, and it just, yeah, it didn't go anywhere.
I think it'd be awesome to have that in the next few months.
What do you have those in?
What is it?
Your light bulbs?
Yes, we've retired some of them.
Okay, because I know some
I
people
think that's
complain.
one of the bridge is not out, it's still out.
We still got some people complaining about they don't have any lights and people are bombing their house with eggs and things, so.
I think everything is done, I mean, the guys that come out, we had a, but they did it the day before, they called back in.
Did you come over on
I'll go back here today.
I don't have to.
Yeah.
Piers, did you get our message about the one on Fifth Street, that where Max and Geneva live? It looks like, of course, it was really windy that night, but Roger was, it's like the lens is falling off, and it's just shaky, and I don't know if
Did a
it's,
lot of those.
we weren't for sure, we just found out that there was a fire there that one night too with the transformer or something several months ago. When Max and Geneva got sick, so yeah, some wires or something loose.
I'll look at that. Make sure
Yeah.
We actually, we have one about Ron's house.
It was weird.
And that wind brings.
Roger kept looking, is that gonna fall? So,
My rubber did fall during the storm, and it just missed the vehicle.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Tough.
It was bad.
You're so sore. Anybody have anything for Gary?
Like the lines down Shelby Street, brought this up a couple of times, we know when that's gonna get done. Is that,
Oh, I
was that through Mayo? or
Yes,
is that-
I talked to Ernie the other day, he said that as soon as the truck comes back through, they're gonna be I just talked to him. Yeah. I talked to him, today, I talked to him last Wednesday.
What's Ernie Ritchie's?
I'm sorry.
What's Ernie's role in this?
Ernie was the one who got Mago here to get him here.
Right, but
He knew that he was supposed to, he knew that Mago, he's staying on Mago, make sure they get the stripes and put in, because the machine was broke down.
we were also told that the new, at the event, the forum that we had at the extension office, they were going to be done really soon. So I think it would be in our best interest to call Mago directly rather than going through. That would be all.
If they're concrete, they can see where it's just, oh yeah, we're getting.
Yeah, we're getting
It's not.
It's, forgot about.
Did we ever get a receipt showing we were paid in full?
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you all?
Send it to us?
Yeah.
I can send it again.
Yes.
Was that not included when they do their streets, is that not something they do right after? Or
I'm
what?
not for sure that they strike, or if that's the state that strikes.
Yeah.
I'm not for sure if, I think after they blacktop, I'm not for sure that another division is becoming a strike, I'm not for sure about that. That's a question that I'm not sure about, but I don't know if they strike.
And I've had a lot of complaints about home mix shovels. And I've actually talked with one of the matchers, and he's going to try to see if we can get home mix to the county at what it costs them. Instead of us going to be within a month or like mixing cracks, which it's hard to put that stuff in water holes anyway, until it starts running up.
Right.
And that's what, and they're all outwash.
Mine is not bad. Not bad. There's sections of the street, but it's just wear and tear, I mean, nothing wrong with it.
Anybody else? For Gary? You good?
I'm gonna touch base on the account, the electric account. I don't know if Gary will be able to offer any insight on it or not, the one that's been off was on. I gave you notes on it. It's the utility account for 707 West Shelby Street. And we noticed the account utilities were on when they called and had a question about their garbage. And Gary went and checked it, everything's on there. However, in our computer since 2013, it's been off, it's been inactive. So it's not been billing or doing anything on that account. And when I talked to them, they said that they were told they would have free utilities while they're there. They are the, it's Plum Creek Church, but it's the Hope Center. Did you all, I'm talking about?
Yep.
Okay, so that's where I gave you a copy of the minutes. These are the only minutes relating to it that could be found when she read them. And this relates to Main Street, over here where Henry Rotram owns. They were, I guess, at one time going to go in there, and I guess the council made a motion to offer free utilities for that location. But now they've moved down there, and utilities have gotten turned on, and I just need to know what you all want me to do. I made the bill to show you what it was up to this point, which that's not factoring that they would have monthly water. I just need to know if you all want to continue with this with them. If it is, we need to do something so I can put it in the system, document it all, maybe in a local agreement or something. Because we can't keep it being inactive. This would be like water loss. I mean, this would be usage loss. Because it's not being tracked. So normally if an account was turned to be like bingo, we make a bill for bingo, but we pay that bill. This was never done on this account, so I need some direction on how you all want to handle it.
Is the company or the entity acting still within the explanation here? What do we know? I have no idea.
Like,
As it's
what's our
listed here,
explanation?
health clinic 2 or 3 days a week with RNs, LPNs, professionally trained. Is that happening?
Don't, Ron was familiar too when they kind of come, I think when it first started, it was to be more of along those lines, which now it's more of the pregnancy and kind of stuff along
Counseling.
those lines.
And they
Yeah.
get funding from all kinds of other groups, Red Oak Center.
The reason why I ask is I feel like, I always go back to intent. What's the intent of council to pass that? The intent of council to pass that was likely because they had the newest technology, which it says here, with the RN being able to make the diagnosis. The clinic would be open 2 to 3 days a week.
Yeah.
And regardless of the location, I don't care if it's next door or down the street
Right.
or where it's at.
This one intent, when Jerry come, it was more going to be like an urgent care kind of center. He was a doctor that you'd be able to have him on camera and he was going to be able to diagnose you then and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it was,
But as far
They
as
got
that,
away
that's
from
not
that.
taking place.
No.
So this is sort of a different type of facility now.
Yeah.
Is that,
Most definitely.
Well, maybe we should have them come here and explain what it all is going on, to find out what's this,
I mean, he submitted a letter, but I was just asking him how the utilities and everything got on. So I mean, I didn't have him go into detail on what they do, I guess. He just said last year they partnership and formed the New Hope Center to provide women's counseling, pregnancy support, and a newly purchased ultrasound machine for prenatal care. The program is continuous operation for 707 West Shelby. And Dr. Tolbert recently unsuccessfully submitted a grant for Community Health Center. He is currently working toward other funding streams to pay for these services. Plum Creek is open to partner with the city to provide services that would benefit the city's citizens of Falmouth. We look forward to continuing cooperation. He kind of just wrote this because I wanted something in writing to when he remembered everything getting turned on and all that.
so,
Because that usually runs through our office, but it didn't. So,
Do you see any issues?
I'm trying to catch up to it, but
And that-
correct me if I'm wrong, it looks like this was going to be a service for the underprivileged at no charge to our citizens who need that service. They were asking basically for a commitment. There was going to be free rent from Judge Bertram, and they were looking for other donations, and the city's contribution is going to be that we're going to waive utilities. So far, so good.
That's what I'm.
Now they've moved to a different location, are they still providing the same mission?
I think it's a little bit different,
That's
but they're
A
still
lot bigger
nonprofit.
building, A whole lot bigger building there than it was over here.
Right.
Yeah, I'm with April that I think they need to come and explain what they're doing to see if they still qualify and to see if this council wants
I
to
think they do
continue.
something with the schools too.
And they do.
They feed the after-school
they did
program.
at one time, I'm not for sure. I know that, that at Northern, it's called the Whiz Kids Group, that they come into our
Yeah.
21st Century program there. I'm not sure if they go to Southern and do the tutoring there now, or the kids were coming to the center after school and getting fed there, but now the 21st, I'm not for sure if that's still taking place. But I know they're still working with Southern and Northern, and I think also maybe the middle school too with the 21st Century grant, but I'm not for sure.
We're talking about the building next to the old ambulance, right?
Right.
No.
That's
Yeah.
strictly for pregnancy and unwed mothers and fathers and.
It's changed.
It's completely different than what this
Because I think
is.
they're more into the schools now rather than what it was, and I'm not for sure that it was ever.
This has a free health clinic, it's not
A
that,
health
it's all
clinic.
focused towards maternal.
Was it ever a health
infancy.
clinic? Not that-
I think it just, I don't think it's ever
I
guided.
don't think it ever got off the grant.
He didn't.
We just
So
need
for
to
now,
and
I mean, I've got the account active, so when we make bills, we'll have to read it. So it's okay to just leave things as is right now, have them come in and do one at a time.
Yeah, because partnering, isn't there a new group over in Williamstown that's part is that part of a group? I want to say, I'm not for sure, but.
It's actually funded heavily through
Well,
the
yeah,
Catholic
that's
Church.
what
The legal standard is that public funds can only be used for public purposes.
Right.
So we as a council need to measure if they're meeting that standard still. Apparently council at the time thought they would.
When you contact her, I think we'd be interested to know is how many people have they seen, how many of our citizens have utilized the center? What is the benefit to our citizens for having the service center? What exactly do they do?
Those are all the things that you have to know when you commit public funds to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we can go back and bill them past.
No.
No, I mean, this is just, I just done this to show you, this is how long it's been involved, and this is what it generated, so.
This is back when it was actually going to be that,
Yeah.
it became further, Falmouth or whatever.
Yeah.
But this particular was.
But it's, is it even further?
Yeah, this is from 13 till when we read it on the 10th.
Okay.
This
I
is
think
what usage
there's
is
like a
used.
combination of different things along, in that or something, but I think it'd be
I
best
think
if
it's
they
all
come
in
here.
I'll give it
Goodwill, but
them.
I think that we need some more information on that to make sure
Definitely
that
need to take into account
What
that
we-
the building's bigger, use some more electric.
This is on that building, but I mean, that's electric for 3 years, so.
It's a bigger,
I mean,
that's
that's
not
not
bad.
bad. I mean, but.
Anything else for Gary?
Thank you.
And just, so you know, when that got applied, I realized the accounts are inactive, that need to be active. So we have to check on all of our accounts, to check all of our, so he's working on that too.
I was going to give an update on code enforcement, and parking citations. We do have parking citations. There have been some issues with different things. Code enforcement, there's been some warnings given. Also, someone was cited this week as well. On a nuisance, I'll give you, we hired someone this week, actually last week. And William Giverson, he is POP certified. He's a Marine Corps vet, started in Boone County with Marlowe. Got another job as well, but as soon as we get trained, he should be pretty well here, I think. Officer Jacob Mannion will be hopefully finished with the academy by the 12th of next month. He'll be back out here. He continues in the path that he's going right now. I was advised today that he's in line for excellence in physical fitness. He's doing pretty well. As you know, Officer Kelly went to the academy on the 27th of March. And he seems to be catching on too, so. That's all I have right now. Just very heavy on the ordinances.
Nothing more than just the ordinance stuff. I mean, we did get some questions about it, some emails. We're doing what we can to follow up on. We're kind of not on the hot plate right now due to it's just kind of been being great workman, so, it's not that we forgot about, but we're working on it as we can. Like I said, someone was cited yesterday. We'll see how that falls out in court, and we'll go from there. I mean, if the court follows our ordinance, it shouldn't be a problem. If they have a problem with it, then we have a problem. So we'll have to see what happens with this case as we move forward and go on. There's going to be probably some other ones to get cited. I've got more violation notices to serve. I've got them ready. Just haven't served them yet, so they're in the works. It's a process where we give them the 7 days, but if they're showing progress, I'll give them an extension. You know, the last thing we want to do, this has gone on for so long, it's just been allowed, that you can't just go in and drop the hammer. That's not right. I mean, technically it's the city's fault for allowing it to happen. So, giving them some grace, it seems to be working. I mean, there's people that are cleaning up their properties I didn't even talk to yet, so, if you're out and about, you'll probably notice that. I'm seeing grass getting cut, a lot of it didn't even need to be cut, but, you know, so we got their attention, so. And hopefully, as we go forward with this, we'll generate a letter for the billing cycle, that covers some of the other ordinances that we're gonna be targeting. And that gives them a heads up ahead of time, and we'll get that to Chrissy each month or every other month, just to say, we're gonna start looking at these issues, you know, we need to see what your problems are and take care of it. Just give them a heads up, because, you know, we can't just, again, we can't go attacking citizens that have been doing this for 20 years now, and all of a sudden it's a problem. So, you gotta kind
What's
of
your
ease
step,
into it.
though, you're saying for the court? You're already heading to court with something?
Yeah, they just issued a state citation for the city ordinance.
What about our code enforcement board? Are we skipping our code enforcement board?
If they haven't contested it, I mean, they were given a notice,
So
and
just
they
going
did
to
not
court,
contest
they're
it,
paying
so.
7 days?
I mean, now, this isn't the parking citation, this is the nuisance laws, those type of things. They get a letter, I mean, they can come up here and contest it, and they haven't done so. I mean, the violation, the citation I issued yesterday, I gave him the notice on the 7th of last month. Said more than enough time to comply, so.
We've also worked with those people too, like, remember the lady who's supposed to be in charge of that house? That's, I talked to her, they was not compliant with her at all. So they didn't want to do it,
Yeah, I guess my only thought there, I mean, reaching out to you all, it's not to say, where are we at on this, I want, you know, but I think it does help us know, it does help for us to know, as council members, what the process is, or what stage of the process it's in. When I reached out to you, Officer Dowers, it was more about, the 2 residents reached out and said, you know, nothing's being done, which, what they don't know is there are things being done behind the scenes, they don't understand that process.
So that's across the board. I mean, there's things being done about a lot of things around town, just because people don't know it, doesn't mean it's not being done.
And that helps us too, because when we get the calls, we tell them, you know, it's already been addressed, it's in the works already, it's like, good.
And I know that that's extra work that you all, beyond what you all have already been doing. I just think it does help for us to have some kind of report, some kind of process, for us to know what properties are in what stage. I know that's more documentation, but down the line, if we can get to that point, I think it would be helpful for us to know.
You know, I brought us up last time, how many vehicles do we have down now still? And what, I've been questioned, like, knowing, about a vehicle, a cruiser that's setting up here.
That's the one that's on head gaskets.
Yeah.
That's the one
David, that,
David Marquette asked Chief to put it out there to slow people come down off that bridge. That's why it's out there.
it's, everybody sees the truck that they are not.
I know, they're still coming off, we've been talking about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, David asked me to put it there because whenever they try to get the truck out to go somewhere and people are not slowing down coming on that bridge. So he asked, Chief, if he'd park it there to kind of slow it down, but it's not working. It's not working at all.
I think people are pretty good shape. Consider, you know, they're high off vehicles, you know, you don't have a cancellation. They got, I think the Ford's got an exhaust leak that's had it for a while, to be fixed, and it's just, they're in pretty good shape for high mileage vehicles, they're not too bad.
Are we planning on getting the cars repaired, or are we looking into the cruiser?
We're waiting for one of Gary's trucks to come out to have that cruiser fixed. Because not everybody fixes those cruisers. Not everybody does those because of chargers, and he said it's very hard to work on. So it's next in line as soon as this truck comes out, that's supposed to be going in.
Where's your truck at?
I went out, it's $2. I went out today, it's the water pump on this one, so he said within a couple of days,
At least it's not the transmission or something like that.
It's not the head gaskets, that's what everybody's kind of assuming, but it's looking like it's all right, so we should, in a couple days, it'll be out there.
Yeah, he said as soon as your truck comes out, then the car will go in.
And I appreciate it going to someone locally, so.
That's what Travis's went too. Travis's head gasket load on it. So his one, but they're the ones who deal with the dermites. They take care of all that. But yeah, that's where the problem's going, is as soon as you just drive out. So we need that off the street, because like I said, it's not helpful. We gotta do something right here. This is bad right here. Very bad.
At the last meeting, we decided that we were going to issue a citation for the house on Park Street. Was this done?
No.
We didn't have to do that.
Diana called you yesterday. I called her back today. She would like to know if the city would like to purchase that house. I said, we're not interested in purchasing the house, we want it down. So she said, now we're fixing to take it down. She asked me to call somebody that wanted it before. I called him today. I don't know what the deal is, but she wants us to have the house for us to buy it, and I told her I don't think we should have to buy the house to take it down.
Who is this? The Fannie Mae contact?
Yes. I'm sorry?
It costs more to tear down than what the property's going to be.
Exactly.
And that's why the,
Absolutely.
that's why they're delaying.
That's why they're.
Actually, the technical reason for the delay is since the last meeting, they just had the foreclosure sale approved and the deed issued back to Fannie Mae. So now they're in a position to do something about it.
And she said, no move fast, is what she said.
One other building was, like that I know was the white building next to the theater. Is that considered condemned? Is that?
He is supposed to be tearing it down also.
Is there any follow through with that? I mean, how is he allowed to?
He should be getting back on that. That might be something
That's
that you
one,
might.
that's one of them,
That you
that
might- that
white
you might need to
building
look
next to
at.
the theater. I know, I've talked to the owner of that, and I've also brought it up before. And it was condemned, correct?
It was,
So-
the state farm
And it's
marshal.
been there since, how long was that condemned?
2000,
10 years ago, I think, the farm marshal said.
10 years ago?
12, it was my last year. It was in my last year.
So 10 years. The white building next to the movie theater, that's someone else that needs to be notified.
Okay. I just need the owner's information. Fire marshal, I've called him a few times, he never returned my calls. I don't know what it is.
Was it condemned in order demolished or just condemned so
It
it
was
couldn't
just-
be inhabited?
Condemned in order to be, not in order to be demolished, but inhabited. He did have an agreement with the county to take it down, I think, and,
And it started falling down. Remember, it's hitting
Yeah.
the windows in the courthouse.
Well, one area I'm bringing up is it's pulling on my movie theater. I've been on top and I've seen it's attached to the side of my building, so the roof's caved in, it's pulling on mine. I just don't want to be an issue where eventually it takes down the theater.
Just send me the owner's information.
I think my
Absolutely. Yeah, we need to take care of it. But he was supposed to still work on it, but I think what happened, if I'm not mistaken, I think he got hurt at his job, or he done something to his shoulder.
Paper markets.
Yes. But yeah, he started on the back of that, started burning, and all of a sudden, like I said, that all happened, we need to get back on him to make sure we get that down.
I got a couple questions. Who owns the building by the Park building that's over on, I don't know, it's Woodson or whatever, is that Park Street? Yeah, who owns where the Courtneys used to live?
his name is Mike, and he wants to sell it to the city.
Okay, so the people that owns the burnt building wants to sell it to the city. The people that owns the building next door wants to sell it to the city.
Yeah, he would like to.
And then on Montgomery Street, there's a yellow house that's got trees growing in it.
They want to sell it to the city.
I guess, I don't know who owns that, but I was in all these, I was trespassing in all these houses.
Here, chief.
Well, my bird was missing, my African gray was missing, and I was searching everywhere looking for her. He's nowhere to be found. But, I mean, all these houses, some people sleeping in them.
Yeah.
And I know you guys, you guys are doing a superb job on Montgomery Street. I appreciate it.
But a lot of the problems we have with the homes here that you're talking about, they don't live in Falmouth, they live in Indiana, they live in West Virginia, they live in all
You can get on Google Maps and it tells you all that.
Yeah, you can come to the
It's share server, and you can get on there and it tells you who owns it.
Right.
Well,
I do it all the time.
The only way we're gonna clean up the city with that kind of stuff is the community to get together. You people aren't gonna be able to do it by yourself. Everybody as a community needs to work together and help you guys and support you guys. I am so tickled that what the police department has done. Just being around has made a big difference for me.
Every little bit helps.
It does. I've noticed a lot of changes this council meeting too, and it's not being tabled, it's, you've got stuff going on.
Well, and they're out there, council's out, they're out and about. I mean, everybody goes to meetings, or they have school teachers, we have everything that's going on.
Yeah.
So, yes.
And Greg, I can't thank you guys enough.
On top of that, Chief, is there anything that you need from us as far as, I know we've been asking the department heads for like lists of anything you feel essential to make sure you guys are doing your job? I know manpower's been a big thing for you all. You'll have, with the two coming back from the academy, you'll have 5, correct? Total, with including you?
As well as the Rockland's off right now, so yeah, we probably make it out.
Do you feel like that's enough? Because I know, one of the reasons I asked is, I even had to call the police this past few weeks for my situation. And there's been a couple of times where there's no one in the city. And I just find that kind of a little troubling. But do you feel like even when you get them back with 5 personnel, you feel like that's enough? Or at least, I know you've had like problems with even overtime. I know that's something you always want to kind of, is there any like part-time positions or kind of that you guys would need to make sure you guys have enough personnel to do your jobs? I know we used to have 8 down here, correct?
7. Yeah, that's 7, 57, and you get small, and all of them.
We're all back to 7?
Yeah.
But now two are part-time.
Yeah.
That's, we can't really count them because of their work schedules. They can definitely fill in when people need some time off if they're available. But in reality, I wouldn't point punches with anybody. This department needs 7 full-time officers.
The big thing about part-time is this, okay? Part-timers, they don't take any benefits, okay? They work when you need them. This is state certified. So they're good in that aspect, and if they don't work out, they just don't work. So it's good to have part-timers, standby. Anything like that helps.
Volunteer, Bill, is he part-time or is he full-time?
He's
He's
full-time, but he's trying to get things situated with his other job. He's got another job full-time as well. He's going to try to go on the book because he's going to probably make money from his job. So he's going to try to get full-time. We'll see how that works out.
Well, when they all get back, if you feel like you need more, and on top of that, just making a list in general of anything you feel like you need, just like we're asking all the other department heads. If you feel like anything essential, like we'll be brought up next meeting to make sure you guys have what you need. Another thing I'd like to bring up with the police department is I know we don't allow them to take vehicles home. Why is that?
Before the taxpayers didn't want to go home.
The taxpayers that want to?
And there was a lot of council members that didn't want to go home either.
No one does decide on it. And who stepped forward in that problem? The whole community, 1 2 people?
No, 2 council members brought it up, but nobody actually stepped forward and said anything.
The reason I ask is, I feel like being a police officer, that's part of being a police officer, of course, you got this, so, I don't know what I need to do, I'd like to see the police officers take vehicles home. I feel like that's part of the job, especially when they're on call. If they get called in the middle of the night, they don't have a vehicle, they gotta go to the personal vehicle here and so forth. I know we have an issue with vehicles in general being broken right now, but you said there's a water pump on the one that'll get going. Is there any reason that they can't get vehicles home?
Yeah, because I passed a order that they couldn't, only 15 miles that they lived. But when I hired everybody, they come in and knew that we weren't taking cars home.
Also saying moving forward, is there, other than the reason you...
As a taxpayer, myself, you have to stop and think about something. I've been here for many years, and a lot of cars have been wrecked and things, and it's just like Chrissy don't take a car home. Are we gonna buy her a new car?
Oh, if you were on call...
Let's not go there and talk.
No, I'm not. I'm not, but
first responder, actually, but, well, what is that, what would that cost them per year in just fuel?
Oh, Lord, I don't remember.
150,000?
We would have to pull what fuel is now compared to what a person.
They paid for
Fuel
one
is,
gallon.
drove.
And it was brought up years ago because of our pay scale, the way we could not get anybody to apply down here. Nobody wanted to work down here because our benefits, we didn't have enough benefits and we didn't pay enough. And it's still true to this day, we don't pay enough. And we don't get, candidates because of that.
The pay scale has increased a lot since the church went
What do you start them out at?
They started out at 13.
13, yes, sir. Smallest other city starts them out at 21.
They make more money than I do. I can tell you that.
Because I heard about it, but that's putting their life on the line, you can't.
And I'm not saying.
Is there a cost analysis done on that before that decision was made? How much it was costing?
What you talking about?
That's an
More the wear and
incentive
tear
for them to
time.
take their car home, because like April said, they do not get paid up here.
Right, I agree.
We know police officers that's went other places, and they make a heck of a lot more than what they do here. And these guys put their lives on the line every single time.
And no offense there, but the position is a part-time position. So before you compare it to that's a full-time position, yours is part-time. So
And it's got to be apples to apples and not apples and oranges, you can't compare it that
you
way.
can't compare those anymore.
But you also hear too that they don't make a lot of money, that we pay their insurance. I mean, we pay for their gas, we pay for their uniforms, we pay for everything that they get, their training and everything. Yes, Dan?
I don't have no trouble with the taxpayer of the gentleman police taking them home, okay? What my problem is they got them at home and they decide to go to a grocery store or something and they wreck it. Taxpayer pays the deductibles on the insurance, and our deductible is what, $500 or better for, these deductibles? But I mean, I wish you would think that if they take them home and they have a wreck, they pay the deductibles, not the taxpayer.
Well, the vehicle, take-home policy would probably have to be, do we even have one? We should, and I don't know why, but, KLC has, been on it for, to have a vehicle take-home policy. And I thought, I know we did. It seemed like we had one, dropped it up a long time ago. I just don't know where it
Yeah,
went.
let me say, I can look, I've seen it, let me say that.
And I do think before we make decisions, it would be good to see a cost analysis done, just to see what the cost would be, because we don't make a split decision before we, say, yes, it's a great idea, I want to do it, but it would be good to see the cost so that we can plan accordingly and to be able to go forward with it, so. I think
that's something that we maybe need to add to the agenda next month,
yeah, I mean,
to where we're back on.
that's only our due
track here.
diligence
We
to
need
figure out the costs.
Get to our action agenda.
I do know that it can be somewhat of a liability when Ray's coming on in his truck and he crosses, say he's coming down 27, and he gets a call, or we need help now. He can't go help now. He's got to come here, get a vehicle, clock in or, whatever, before when they entered the county, they just radioed dispatch and said they were in county.
Yes.
And then if they got called, they could go immediately.
But Ray also has lights in his truck. He's pulled people over when he's coming.
I have lights with no siren, yeah. But however, I will say this, if I have to get down in a hurry, and this was brought up because of the current situation with me and Greg being on and working, I did want to take the car home right now. That was denied. Okay? The problem is, if I have to get down here right now with just the two of us working, I'm gonna get stopped 5 times. They wanna know who the hell I am. I'm just making a point. I'm thinking,
We used to have a policy with police officers taking them home that we would pay like 3 tank fulls and the police officers would pay the 4. In other words, they just drive them home. We gave them 3 tank fulls and they filled up one time. You know what I'm saying? And,
So do we not have a policy?
I mean, there were some policies that we
Is there a
had.
policy written for that, do you know?
It was in Susie's accreditation. That's
For
what
the takeoff, for the.
Yeah, it was in
Well,
Susie's
that's no longer
accreditation.
either, so.
How many cruisers do you have?
I mean, we just pay once a month.
But I think in the meantime,
We have
Well, how
five.
many do you have that should be fixed?
We have 7.
7 total. But I think in the meantime, while there are only 2 officers, Ray should probably take this call home.
That's another thing, because those times they're out of the city, you just now got 3 people who are working, and you all get called in. It's just not, I don't think that's considered a very typical response time. You know, if you got trouble over here, get the vehicle and go back out there. I would like to, I'd like to.
Council make that, do that.
Yeah, I was,
Or is that
I was
personnel
gonna-
thing?
this is an issue that impacts the budget, and you really do need to evaluate what it will cost. We're in April, you know, you're gonna be working on your budget soon, you probably ought to evaluate that. And I see that on the agenda, you've got the personnel job descriptions update. You should always be looking at your personnel policy. As you weigh all of that, you can determine what you as a council believe a good policy would be. Some cities have a radius, or you have to live in town to take it home.
Well, how many of our police officers live in the county? In the county, in the city, like within 50 miles, that parameter?
You and Chris.
Everybody's inside 50 miles. I live
15.
15.
It's
15 miles.
15 miles.
That's about 15.
Yeah, Kenny fell under at one point in time. I think Kenny fell under at one point in time.
He lived that just outside.
But yeah, I would like to see that on next month's agenda. We need a motion for that. Well, I'd like to put it on next month's agenda, so we can just revisit that policy and see if it makes sense. And in that time, we can possibly try to find out what it would cost monthly for that to be, if everyone were able to take home their vehicles, what that would cost monthly for us and just fuel. And then try to work something out amongst you all for some changes you'd like to see.
Well, now your gas is gonna change because of up and down, summer and winter.
Right, but just an idea. I mean, if we're talking a couple $1,000 a year, we just make sure that our police officers are happy and satisfied and they have the tools necessary for the job. I don't see any problem. I'll have to see that next meeting.
There's an awful lot of departments that do let their officers take their vehicles home. Sometimes it might be
But in the meantime, it says we are short staffed.
Yes, Ray, you can take your car home.
I mean, that's fine. I mean,
Yep.
Can I take?
I'm looking at it critical situation right now. I think it's critical. Not for me, I can care less.
I'm worried about the city.
I'm worried about the city. I'm worried about the city. I'm expected to do a job here. I had to drive down here when Kenny Broughton called me because he had to go home for an emergency. It took me an hour and a half to get down.
And that's what kind of set this up, like, oh, wait a minute, yeah, that's right, you don't have a vehicle.
Do you not live in the county? You live somewhere else in another county?
I live in Irvine.
Well,
You live in Erlanger?
sheriff wasn't out the other night when they needed him.
There was nobody out there like when he needed something. When he
So I know, you can't always depend on other departments when they're not here.
Right, now I understand that.
Well, that's a whole new can of worms I just found out about the other day, so.
Yeah.
Just do what we can. I mean, we work as best we can, you know, what we got. We get these people out of the academy and let's go from there.
Gotta have enough vehicles for the people to work on before you go send them somewhere else. It used to be years ago, we had everybody, I said, you gotta have vehicles here that's working for the people that's working before you go letting them go somewhere else home with somebody.
And at one time, he had what, one car working?
Agreed.
Yeah,
Yes.
they need to be repaired.
Once it has to be taken care of, like, if vehicles are down, you can make that call. If vehicles are down, you need vehicles here, you can let your employees know, the police officers know, they're not allowed to do it. That's all I have, thank you.
Thank you. I think that's all I've got.
Campbell County, I was talking to, them, their chief, they have, implemented a new program to ease the officers, because anymore they're seeing calls on social services side. Stuff that officers really don't, deal with a whole lot. And they have brought a social worker that works there, and she deals with.
That's actually Alexandria.
That deals with, when they get a domestic violence call, she goes, and it lessens their, them coming back to the same house, for going back to the same house, revisiting the same house for the same situation with dealing with a domestic violence call. Usually they would have to go back to the same house 3 times over the call. Now it's just only once. They've seen that, and, I just throwing that out, if you all would like to talk to him. The chief, he said he'd be willing to talk to you all about that. How they've been able to utilize that, and, I mean, just with all kinds of different areas. The drugs, when somebody has an OD, she goes, and.
What is she like, a certified?
She worked with the cabinet for human resources.
Yes, you have to have, your degree.
She does an incredible personal follow-up that cops just don't have time and talent to do.
And she goes and she talks to them and see about getting them in somewhere. So that's what she does. She sits down and of course your suicide calls and stuff like that. She deals with all that. Yes.
I do think this kind of goes into the conversation of personnel and job descriptions, but I think that's all something we can talk about at the same time, figure it out.
Like I said, we have a lot of that here, so I think that'd be a great idea. I really do. So if we could talk to her.
Yeah. Very nice.
There's an article about that in the law enforcement magazine this month.
Yes, that's us.
She works with the cabinet and everybody else, so she knows who to call, when to call, what papers need to be filled out. So, I mean, that's.
That would be handy, but like the other night, we had that, we were coming down high in Norwood and hit, you better up here on 27.
Oh, yeah.
A little kid, an autistic kid, would be nice to have somebody.
Yes.
Right on the spot.
And you all deal with a lot of kids too,
We did.
as far as that goes.
Or when they don't be, and there's children in there.
Anybody else for a
Thank you so much.
I'm just gonna try to give you some updates on what we have going on within our department, so you know about the status and all that kind of stuff is too. Our website will be launched tomorrow. The only thing is, with it, it will not have the utility link yet. Fry, when I was working with Fry, which is, Fry does our cubic and bucks, I was under the impression that all they needed was a link, we would go on our website once it was ready to launch, and we'd be good. Well, they've got to do all this URL and stuff, banner stuff and all that. So the utility link they gave me, that they can launch that on the 1st. So that would be when our next bills go out, we'd be able to have that on there. But I thought since our website, they can go ahead and, she was like, I can do it today for you. I'm like, I don't want to do it yet. I was like, I want you guys to tell me what you think. I figured if we go ahead and launch the website, we can do, kind of work out the kinks we just did. You could still be on there to do code enforcement stuff, kind of look at it and see what's on there and see if we want to change anything. And then once they have the link ready for our utility bills, I'll be able to put that on there and then we'll go with that. If everybody's okay with that. So then we'll look at our website being live tomorrow. And everybody, I'll send an email, let you know so you can check it out and see the ground on it, and we'll go from there on it. Let's see. Just let everyone know our occupational license has been out. They're starting to come back in already and everything. We will be sending out notices on our property taxes, on all past due property taxes. Our computer goes back to 2010, so if you've got a bill that's over 2010 through 2016, you're going to get a notice. I'll be out. I'm hoping to have the letter and everything to go with it by the end of this week. It might be the first of next week because we're a little backed up right now.
Did you put it on our stuff? 90 that details?
The postage?
No.
Or what it would be?
The tax and something.
I figured that into the budget. I didn't add it all up. I can find out for you, but I don't know.
I'm curious, I didn't know.
I think most of the years, some of the older ones were like $10,000 to be back taxes each year. I think the most current probably 17. It'll get paid every because that's what they always said, that we always said that we couldn't collect them because of property tax. But I have gotten some calls from people that just didn't realize they hadn't paid in years, so we might get some of it, you know, so we're gonna try. And plus now the interest and everything's on there, so we'll get that too when we do pay, so. Still working on the drug policy. I know you all kind of looked at that last month, but I haven't had a chance to revisit it to kind of make the final changes, but we'll have that one
What
for
was
you.
that? I'm sorry.
The drug policy, when we looked at, I haven't looked back at it to update this stuff. We are working on getting a permit for the Falmouth sign. Gary said Year's getting pretty close to being done with it, so we're working on getting that. I spoke with Brown Thornton, who some of you guys are not familiar with. He's the guy that's over our KYMEA that kind of does the whole thing with the electric switch from when we lose KU and we get our new company. I've asked him to come next council meeting to talk with you all because he'll be able to kind of explain everything way better than I can. That way you can ask him any questions and kind of do all that. So he will be here next council meeting. We are finishing up our CSX. I know people's been curious about that, so I've got to finish up the spreadsheet on all that and get that sent out. So I'm hoping we're going to focus on it the next couple of weeks too. So hopefully by next time.
Council get a copy of that when that goes.
The whole thing? Yeah. Unless anybody's got any questions or anything, they think of it. I have on there right now. I will work on our reserves because we're going to need that to look at what our numbers and money is and everything. So been working on them, but something always kind of takes precedent and put that one aside. But I'll give us an update on that so that we'll be able to look at for everything we did and we'll know what we have. And if you want to change some things, because we did budgeted for doors and stuff, and we haven't done that. You may want to switch things around. I don't know.
I know you responded to me. I mean, you do feel like Lux can generate a balance sheet, overarching balance sheet.
Yeah, did that for you all too.
Any else for Chris?
One more thing. The barrel that is by Wilson's over here. Would you maybe be able to, let's move that or put it somewhere else? She says everybody's using it for a garbage can. The barrel by the Wilson Apartments over here. People always stand right there, and she says they're just using it. So I don't know if we can care to move it. We don't want to move it because it's your all's, but if you have another better spot, maybe
She's
Oh,
gonna
for
grow
it.
flowers here in springtime, she's gonna do flowers.
And that might help. She just says her people are just, they're trashing it over here.
All right, I know we're gonna put flowers in that part,
See, that'll help them. So she just, the property owner come in and asked about that.
And right, those are donated to the city, just right? So they are cities.
Yeah, I mean, but where they end up, that's where we're gonna take care of them, but, I don't think they'll be going trash on them, take care of them. We don't have a problem with that on any other one.
Yeah, but
I think
they,
they should write a note to them saying this is not a trash can.
we can, but they use the bell tower too, so they're just not very
I'll put,
good at that
we'll
part.
put flowers in there next couple of weeks.
They've always been there. Yeah, apartment building, we lived beside there for years. They did it to my house.
So then, I mean, if that's okay, then we'll just watch it and see what happens. If they don't take care of it, in the area, place it around us or something.
It'll be done soon, because we're going to roll it through.
And I'll let her know.
Next one is the first reading of the adoption of ordinance committee.
All right, this will be ordinance number 2017, and Chris will give it the next number. I'll give you the summary, and then Councilman Carson can explain it. This is an ordinance of the City of Falmouth in Pendleton County, Kentucky, amending Chapter 32 of the Falmouth Code of Ordinances pertaining to City Council by creating new Section 32.50 therein in order to establish the Falmouth Forward Volunteer Collaborative, to include the establishment of the Special Events Committee and the Revitalization Committee, and providing for the selection process for membership and other provisions pertaining to the collaborative and the communities. The text of the ordinance refers to the exhibit, which is a 4-page exhibit. I believe you all saw this and talked about it briefly at the last month's meeting. Councilman Carson and I met and we talked about it, and this ordinance would create these committees as committees of council to be operated by council, and I'll give the floor over to
So at the last meeting, we talked about the two committees. Basically, it's to help the council. As Bill said earlier, the council can't do everything, and nor can a handful of 2 or 3 volunteers. So we need to put some kind of structure in place so this can be done year over year. We have to fall back on. If members come off or on, this has expectations of what's required, in addition to an outline and suggestions of how to execute the events. It was also recommended that maybe council has some involvement or oversight in terms of committee representation. So I think that we can definitely try to work on that as council members. If 1 or 2, not a quorum of us, are represented on the committees, therefore that would naturally create the linkage between what's happening in the committees, in addition to how the council's working with them to make those things happen. So I don't know what questions y'all might have, but basically this is the first reading, and then hopefully when it's up and going and ready to roll, we will then be able to have the applications sent out to residents, and then we'll have a scoring process based on points by their applicant feedback and answers to the questions that we have with them. So really simple 4-page document. I'm hoping we can get it up actually on the website.
That's what I was just gonna.
So that somebody can download it, fill it out, send it back into it. It has Chrissy's email to come back to. If you just there's a place for you to document at the bottom when it was received, the date, and any notes you might have, and then the council can score them as needed. Do that. So I don't know if you have any questions. Councilmember, I think you all seen the document. See that.
The only thing I wanted to ask you is, I know last time you all had wanted to schedule a special meeting for the festival committee. We didn't get a chance to do that, so you all want to do that? Or
Yeah, that was-
send
that
an
was-
email to do that, or it's just sometimes easier if you all have a date. Or do you want to wait till this?
I mean, I feel like it's moving forward. What would we need to get together to discuss?
That would pretty much dissolve. This is new. This is saying, okay, we're going to start fresh. We're going to have a budget. We're going to do this. This is what's going to take place with the new volunteers. Hopefully some from the past.
The only thing I was worried about is July coming up. We gotta get something like going like now.
Well,
So
actually, we
I
put
think
out
that's-
before that, the senior bash that we participated in last year. Where does that fall into everything? We're not going to represent?
last year, the city of Falmouth, just Christie and Alonda.
Right, so we're not going to.
So those funds are frozen at this point. We can unfreeze those and then allocate funds for, as needed for that event. In terms of, it's not really a community event, it could be under revitalization as the community, but since we don't actually have representatives applying for that, we would have to still make some kind of movement if we want to be represented in the interim.
Well, I don't know that we need to. I guess I was just thinking out loud because I know that that's something that's coming up before the July that we participated in last year.
And now that you and Sherry, I know you wanted food, right? Last year was what was done.
It was candy, it was.
Is there a need for that?
What?
All the food?
They did last year.
Is that at the senior bash, or, so what did we provide as a city?
Barbecue? They did, but they didn't have enough or something. All the food went. They did, but it was barbecue, I think. Barbecue sandwiches. Barbecue sandwiches and
We did
Cracker Jacks. Anything that we was Cracker Jacks that was given out. Can't remember what it
Well,
was
it
there.
has on here that lunch is given.
That's what it showed.
Yeah, they didn't have
That
any
showed that we
food
weren't
last
prepared.
I know the one ask, they usually reach out to different organizations, ask other organizations, can you give away one item each person there, so.
That's one of the
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think we.
Well, I mean, still table.
Hey, we could get out with our experts. Dan, how to provide chemical emergency. What is those people something?
Oh, that's what
The new document should be out then too, and I should say,
They got boxes in the
Yeah. Maybe it could just be something that we just sit and represent,
So especially because we want to wait on that.
That's up to council, I mean, that's up to everybody. Do we feel like we need to make movement for the senior bash? I mean, do we feel?
Or I just meant the festival committee in general, to get that all
I mean, I think the next steps, from my perspective of this, is just to get applications out there, which we don't need a meeting for.
Okay.
We would need to score them afterwards. That could be done in a special meeting, or, you know, we could get them in our hands, bring them to a meeting already scored, right? So, in terms of a meeting, I don't think we really need to have that. Yeah. In my mind.
I wanted to touch base on it because I knew we talked about that last time.
But I feel like we need to do something for the senior bash. Have we committed to anything yet, or?
Because last year, how much did we spend for the senior
I
bash?
have no idea.
What's the date?
No, that May gave away a TV and.
That wasn't spent, money spent, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we were supposed to reserve a booth space by April 28th. Oh, today's. It's May 9th. It's the day of our meeting, from 10 to 2.
And I know that the senior citizens, they really liked that last year. It was a good event. Anything else?
Mayor, I would just add, as it was discussed, we put a freeze on the funds that would ordinarily support that. If you want to support that function this year, you're going to need to act now or have a special meeting soon to do it.
Could we just unfreeze a certain amount for that event? I mean, can you make a motion to do that? Okay.
But you can. You all only want to spend a certain amount, well, no, not really, because you can't do that.
You can do that.
Even if you're like, someone's been passed by budget to.
As long as the money's in the budget and you
Right.
unfreeze it, then you can authorize that expenditure, not to exceed 200 or 500, whatever you have in mind.
Is it listed under senior bash, or is it?
No,
it's just-
I put it under community activities, just like things that we have.
And how much is
And I don't really, you all froze the festival committee funds, didn't you?
Right.
I don't think you froze.
I would say it wasn't community events, it's festival. I guess that's in my mind, it doesn't really.
Okay, so that's not really
It's events.
part of
So
the
is that used
festival
to that
funds.
Yes, but please keep in mind, we do have the 4th of July, and I
Yeah.
think the community events was in that, the money for that was in there.
No, it's too long.
No.
No, you had festival committee, and we had,
It was separate. Community things is what I asked for like to be able to decorate and join in on things
right,
the city done.
so that you had
So
some.
again, festival
So where's the
separate.
festival committee on
No,
the
I'm
line?
talking about like the 4th of July fireworks.
There's a fireworks line item.
Yeah.
That's a
So,
separate.
And then there's
making sure that we weren't spending any
Line
money.
item.
No, that's 3,000, that's separate.
Yeah.
You have fireworks, you have festival committee, and you have,
Festivals and parades. Okay, there is two different, there's a festival and parades,
Mhm.
then you see a
and
fireworks.
then there's fireworks, which,
And then community activities.
I just wanted to make sure that it was clear not to take money out of that pot.
I can't remember what the motion was, so
It was a festival.
we may not have frozen.
Frozen festival.
Just froze.
we
the
just
festival.
froze the festival.
That was it.
It was
So
just
you don't
a
have to
festival.
unfreeze anything unless you want to do something for July
So,
They had the junior.
I feel like we need to do something for the senior bash.
Go on.
I can do that.
What is it that makes you feel it? What would you want to do?
Community, I mean, is there a price to have a table there? Because what did you all do?
I think they have a table that they do want to have an item given out, that's what my
Right.
understanding.
So could we just donate an item? I mean, I feel like as a city, our people do benefit from that, our seniors do.
Is it not an item per guest though? It's just,
They had items that you gave away to everyone, and
Everyone.
then also
And
had
then
items
also
that you
had
raffled, that they
A
raffled.
raffle, yeah.
Those items, and then they went around the table like that, like evenings.
so we're not necessarily concerned, I'm asking a lot of questions. We're not necessarily saying we have to purchase something for everybody in Independence, right?
Right.
Would it be okay if we purchased something from local businesses? Purchased from local businesses and put a basket together of local items of some sort.
Portable brush.
Yeah.
Well, you can do that.
Could that be?
Whatever you all, you can do that.
Great.
I agree with that.
You can do that.
$200.
Yeah, let's set up.
Go around, buy a couple of things, and
More than one.
Yankees or.
What
Yeah,
about
we do
like
Yeah.
smoke detectors and like home safety flashlights, batteries, stuff like that, batteries, yeah.
I like the idea of the gift basket, because you can buy, get some like Randy.
Yeah, let's just send them out, and then we could just have a basket, go baskets put together or so, just however we can get that amount from local businesses.
We'll just put a tablecloth and, yeah.
Pass out those RX cards, all those RX cards.
RDRs, yeah.
There's more than one basket, maybe they're gonna spend $200.
Yeah.
$100 gift baskets,
Or gift card.
or $50 gift baskets, I mean, whatever.
Are we gonna spend $200?
That's what I started last year. That's in.
But it's up to you all, you all make a
Well,
bill.
yeah, you want to do like, make up like 4 gift baskets to hand out, I think that'd be nice.
Yeah, they go, what they do is they give them, they go up to the front, to the stage, and that's where they rank them off.
I think that'd be a nice gesture from the city.
And they say this is from the city of Falmouth, and this is where that's off.
That sounds good.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's up to you, I mean, well, it's in the budget, right, to spend, so we can, you all can execute that as needed, up to 200 right as well.
Whatever you all want.
What's next? Personnel and job description, kind of hit on that while ago.
Yeah, Alex requested this to be on here, so I mean, I don't know if you want
Yeah,
to.
so I reached out to Andrea Schindelbauer, I think is her name,
Yeah.
from KLC.
Yeah.
She said basically what she needs in order to generate job descriptions is a list of all the positions we are looking for. So that's the first step. She can't give us just a bunch of job descriptions. She needs to know, what exactly are you looking for, and then she can pull job descriptions, samples for us to look at.
Well, I mean, our job descriptions have been done many times. They just kind of stop. But they've been looked at, council has put groups together and they've done all that. So I mean, you go ahead, we can start with those, or are you wanting them to
Do
create?
you have the information from previous council, what they collected?
I mean, we've done all that and like kind of redone them or whatever. I worked with them for a while last time too, but every time it gets to the pay sale, where they want to do the compensating or whatever it is for the pay stuff, it always stops and then it kind of gets passed for the job descriptions. So they just kind of, that's all.
Seems like
It gets kind of quick talking about it.
with that, we need sort of a special working session.
That's what they did.
I mean,
back then.
is there a way
The
to
department
get one of those
heads
scheduled?
be looking at that and be like, oh no, they don't.
And that's what they did. We gave them all to the departments, and the supervisor would go through and be like, oh, this employee does this, or now this employee does this, and he kind of tweaked them all. We edited them all, but they just kind of stopped before they got too fast.
Can we get copies of, we don't have that already, but I haven't seen that anywhere, copies of current, well,
You got a few. but-
job descriptions that are,
Okay, I was gonna say, we got some that.
yeah, just,
Yeah.
I think it'd be good to know what the current look of that is, and also any information that was gathered from previous councils, so they're not recreating the wheel for, I know that's probably messy and kind of hard to find, but maybe the
You
most.
might have, you can probably view it, because a lot of theirs were in like little folders thingies, but I'll see what I can do to let you see it. I can probably get it scanned.
It might be easier to start with the process of what job descriptions do we want, and then see whether what KLC or the ad department can put together. Both of them work in personnel
And if we
policy.
can come up with a special meeting day just to sift through and see what we have versus what we need, that would be great. Just seems like we need a working session.
Well, I know, like, with the end department, I called about giving a pay rates from surrounding city. And $1,000 for us to get that.
Get that information.
Pay rates for what
Because we are
people
not
make,
a member,
like for what different departments make. We have one from Northern Kentucky District, but
How
breaks
is it?
down. I don't know, it's
The newest one.
probably in there. I don't think they pay for that.
If you're a member, we're not members of the ad district.
members of the ad district, we're not paying into the economic development.
We have to pay our dues or whatever it is to them.
Yeah, and I called.
I don't know when that was, that we got that from them.
I was like, I don't think I could see this $100,000 furniture for that, sorry.
You have your property?
I'm gonna let Mr. Duncan do that. I mean, we got the letter of intent, I guess as long as everything's in, it's okay.
Well, we probably ought to review what's happened.
So,
The city has this property, I think it started out as 38, 39 acres. We sold some of it, and an access road was built. I know there was some confusion over what that's supposed to serve. You can tell on the drawing that came with the letter of intent that the access doesn't go all the way back to what would be the remaining part of the city's property. If you look at this drawing, it's called Equitas, that came with your letter of intent, you can see that they want to purchase, the offeror wants to purchase 6.134 acres, which will leave a lot of city property back behind this development and behind the Dollar General development, and what I would call up the hill, that they're around 27. So you need to evaluate, well, let me back up. We put out for bid to solicit offers for this property, and my recollection is maybe twice. Right? We did not get bids, so therefore in Kentucky law,
You did get bids. They were denied.
Right.
The bids were
rejected, right? We didn't get any responsive bids, any bids that we would accept. So under Kentucky law, we can then go on and try to market the property. This developer wants to buy 6.134 acres. This is what I would call a standard letter of intent. They want to pay X number of dollars for it. They want to put very little down while they do their due diligence. They have 4 months to do that, and they can extend it an additional 4 months, I believe.
When I read that, I thought, boy, they catered to themselves on that, because I don't think it's fair that, we come out with this, attorney fees to do this, and if they decide, no, we don't want it, it's not, they're not leaving us with anything.
No, that's pretty standard, though. If you had a piece of property that people were clamoring to buy, you wouldn't want to enter into an agreement like this.
Yeah.
But you don't have anybody beating down the door. I think the first thing you need to look at is, do you want to sell just that prime piece right there and leave the rest? I'm not sure if we started out with 38 or if we have 38 now. Does anybody know that?
we've not sold anything off of what we bought.
Right, but
We own 30, it's like 39 acres. I
So
think.
the 39 did not include the Dollar General?
No,
So
not it.
we'd still have 32,
That's all.
33 acres left.
It's hills. Well, the part that would be left would be mainly the hillside, correct? And then the 6 acres is pretty, in the back where you have the railroad and you have the easement to that part too.
You do have other people that are interested in the hillside and stuff though too.
Good.
So,
And the thing is too, I think you owe a loan on it. I don't know if this would take care of the loan. So what you would have left would be free and clear, and it would give you, at that point in time.
Money to go buy that.
This
This
would not
will
be on
generate
like a
enough-
main contract, we would get
No, this is
cash
straight
for
straight
it.
up sale.
Straight up sale.
The 330,000 that they're offering will retire the debt and give you some cash, or just pay the debt
it'll pay it off. And give us the cash.
to do the towers.
A little bit.
Not much.
They're basic, I mean, I hate to say it this way.
What's that is, do you know what we want, as a reason?
I think it's a 270.
That's what we're gonna do.
Would you want to make this last thing I looked at?
You want to,
No.
Stanley was, would you want to know that Clay property?
On Clay's property, yeah.
How much y'all pay for that?
I can't exactly say what we paid for it.
I think it's
on
more.
it. It was quite a lot. It was close to 200,000 or something.
It was over 200,000.
Yeah, it was more than that. I'll look at it. Let us know whether everybody's
I think we're paying like $33,000 a year on interest, just interest alone.
So, the way that they wrote the letter of intent, that's the first step. They want to know if you're interested in doing it that way. They want to answer by tomorrow. And I'm sure that was set up because tonight.
The council,
Then, like I said, they've got time to do due diligence, to do their testing, to do their financing, do their market studies and so on. It could be a total of 10 months until they have to close, if they take the whole amount of time. You know, smart business, that would be.
will this matter like with our utilities, like our billboards and stuff that's through here, you know? How that'll affect all that?
I think they take it with whatever values is there.
I mean, they're not ours, they're a company that pays us for them, so I mean, that would be.
We don't own the property, we're going to be paying us. Whoever owns the property.
If they want to stay, if they want to move them
I'm
out.
gonna move this line over.
The way they set it up, it's take it or leave it, but you don't have to do business that way. You could say, well, let's go back with different terms.
So if we agree as is, it could be over 10 months.
You could. They're allowing themselves 10 months.
So what you need from council tonight is,
Whether or not to authorize the mayor to sign this letter of intent with the terms that they've offered. You can go into closed session if the discussion in public would affect the price, but it won't. You know, they're just basically offering that amount of money. If you want to discuss counter offers and stuff like that, you want to go into closed session.
I mean, we can't even alter that, like, because I just, that, with their, you know, they ditched the whole thing, it's, you know, I don't even know if it was covered their attorney fees. We'd still be on them, you know, and that's my thing is, it can't cost us to bid this out, you know, or to accept proposals, we can't be figuring it out. That's my only thing that I worry about that. Where was that at?
she's not like having enough money to pay the attorney fees to make back out.
If they back out, they were leaving very little, you know, like.
Really, the only attorney fees would be just negotiating the terms in the final contract.
Or we don't get it at all, so in my opinion, we're looking at somebody's interested in
Oh,
a
yeah.
portion of the
Or
property
any
for
other
that
business
cost.
here, I mean.
I just ask that it doesn't cost any more than, you know, so if they back out, if they back it out, that's the only thing.
I think he's pretty well interested in it probably, because he's been at me since I got into it, he's.
So, you know, you can put a clause in there, any attorney fees that accrue from this time that they have to pay.
They did put in there that the seller will be paying the commission to the broker at 7%. That's $23,100 that you're going to take off the top of your $330.
Yeah.
So you're going to net $3,069. Okay. I think the earnest money needs to be earnest money.
Mm-hmm.
And
That it should be committed and part
yeah.
up front.
It's just very, you can change it.
We can't change it.
But I mean, we can tell them.
We
I can tell
can
them.
leave it, we can say, no, we're not going to agree to these terms, but we do want to negotiate with you for additional terms or different terms. How about the price? Do you like the price?
Definitely.
Yeah,
It's around 50,000.
within, you know, we agree to these terms except for this right here, if you want, you know, you're okay with it if this part changes and.
If you back out, you pay for it, we don't.
Or even split the broker fee.
The what fee?
They split the broker fee, that's almost $12,000 right there. They just agree to split it.
You all agree with that?
You know, there's different ways to work this. I think we need to get a little
open to you all emailing me additional terms. It's concerning you, and then I'll negotiate with them, try to come up with a better deal. I would caution you though, I mean, brokerage fees typically are paid by the seller. My experience, the price is very good, and you don't want to blow it.
That's not worry.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tank.
I say we're looking at that amount, if somebody's interested in that amount, I'm gonna piss them off, and then, oh, we're.
And then we're.
Yeah.
But see, this is why I want to kind of go into closed session, because if you're negotiating, and it happens to go out there in the public, then they know what we're going to be negotiating. This is why I was, why are we discussing this?
Yeah, I mean, if you're willing to accept the terms, you don't need to go to closed session. If you want to negotiate it tonight, we should go to closed session and talk about it. Otherwise, you can email me and I'll keep the line of communication with them.
Well, I'm supposed to talk to him tomorrow, so would you like to just tell him to contact you?
I'm not, if you don't want to do that, no, I'm not saying it has to be that way. You can talk to them if you want. You're hearing what council's saying, we don't want to blow the deal, but there's a couple of provisions there that they need to sweeten a little bit.
I'm on board with Councilman Simpson. I think it looks good other than that broker review. I think they're going to split and I'll be there.
I mean, either commit more earnest money or split broker, give us a little something. And we need to a couple water tanks for the tower,
Right.
Do you want to make a motion
Couple
to
portable
approve it subject to those couple of things? Or do you want to come back to council?
I think we need to work, they're wanting an answer tomorrow, I think we need to start working tomorrow. I don't have a problem making that motion if you all word it the way you.
Well, I think the motion would be to approve authorizing the mayor to sign the letter of intent. However, a couple of provisions need to be revised. That is, the earnest money needs to be hard, which means that if they back out, they lose the earnest money. And the second is that they would split the broker fee instead of us paying the entire thing. And you would authorize the mayor to sign that if they agree to those.
With those provisions.
Either or both.
Either.
I mean, either one or both.
Your
You
motion.
shoot for both, if not, they will.
That's where we get into the territory where we're risky to talk about it.
Why I'm saying I probably should go into closed session.
Well, it is what it is, we're acting tomorrow, so there you go.
That's the motion. Is there a second?
That's all right. Well, are you motioning?
I did, yes.
Also.
Yes.
I thought you should figure it out, but you made the motion. I was like, what are you doing?
Chrissy, you and I will touch base tomorrow. We'll figure out how to approach that.
Next one is the Housing Authority approved appointment. We'll have this thing today. I have been here just in case, Sherry Wilshire is already the chairperson. Should we appoint Sherry for her position?
Are there any other interested parties? Just curious, if anybody that's stepped up.
I haven't heard anybody agree with them.
I had a gentleman approach me with interest. Do I say his name or?
Yeah.
Tim King. He lives here in town.
Maybe ran for the council, right?
He expressed interest.
So are you all willing to put this on hold, or Jack, can we put this on hold?
Is there a time commitment?
Yeah.
She's expired now.
Yeah.
The term is a 4-year term. The way it works is the mayor makes the appointment and then council either approves it or not. So the mayor has made the appointment, so it's up to you all to either vote Sherry up or down or table it until you have time to look at other potentials.
Is it a conflict?
What actually happened this time was that she served the remaining term of Alonda when Alonda became mayor. So therefore she was actually serve the 4-year term. So,
You have Louisville on hold, I know.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we're gonna have to, you're all gonna have to choose somebody to reappoint her or choose someone else. You know, I've worked with Sherry, she's been good to work with, and we always agree. I mean, that's the way it is. But, you know, she has been a good board member and a good chairperson, so.
And our rates have gone way up. We're in high, we've been at 100%, almost 100%, so we've been like 10% off.
But isn't it a conflict?
For what?
There's not a legal conflict, and I don't see an ethical conflict where there would be financial interest to be gained. So I don't think there's a legal. I don't see it anyway.
Janet, excuse my ignorance, can you give me some more insight into the role?
Basically, they make sure that I do my job correctly and that, you know, we stay within our budget. And of course, we have to have 2 check signers, and Sherry does sign checks as well as myself. So, I don't know, Andy, did you do any review on?
I looked over stuff, I mean, just everything that you said, that I came up with. That's basically.
Basically what you're asking.
Yeah. Our job basically is to either accept or deny the appointment, correct? We have no other roles with the housing authority, is that correct? I mean, pretty much what I read in the 1962 ordinance thing that I could, there's some of it I couldn't read, but yeah, I mean, as far as that. Now, does the city gain, do we get some money from?
We have what we call a pilot tax.
Okay, what exactly was that?
That is every time that we receive from the tenants, and a portion of it goes to the city, and a larger portion goes
to the county. Okay.
Mainly the school board property. It's called pilot tax because it's a tax exempt organization. They don't pay property tax like you or I would on real estate. But pilot means that it's in lieu of taxes. It's an amount to be paid in lieu of taxes.
Oh, lots more. Because I wasn't for sure if we we benefit from it, but I wasn't for sure if there was any monies there that we.
Not a whole lot. But we get, you know, as far as the city, one thing that the city does or the council does is, like I said, appoint the board members and, you know, as far as the city giving us any money or anything, no, they don't, so.
Now, do we have to approve your budget or no?
No.
No, okay, because somebody had told me that and I'm like, I didn't read that or I didn't think that, but I wasn't for sure how that, I was trying to get 3 and 4, you know, he said, she said. I wanted to know
It's
what
not
it
a
really
city
says.
agency, it's just
Right.
because it's in the city. The city has the.
Do we have, like, sort of the planning commission doing appointed bodies to go on there?
Can I ask a question? How many's on the board?
We have 5 members right
Who are the members?
now. Of course, a lot of us is on the board because she's the mayor. We have Emma English, Kathy Henry,
Ms. Cox?
yes, Janine Cox, and who else? Sherry.
Yeah.
And what is the political ratio?
You have to have so many Democrats, so many Republicans. You can't have an independent also.
So the position, does it have to be filled by a specific party?
Yes, but I'm not sure.
She's independent.
She's independent.
So it could be filled either way?
And
It has to be an independent.
No.
No,
Yeah, that's what that was the position that I filled, and she filled mine.
that's what the ratio is now. What you're asking now, the ratio is.
There's a rule that it has to be
So
a
many,
specific
so many
ratio.
Republicans, so many
So Sherry's
Democrats.
position is open, so that is the party that we need to fill. And she's independent, so what does that mean? Could it go either
It could
way?
go either they need a Republican or a Democrat.
So it could go either way.
How many do you have, how many Republicans do you
I'm
have?
gonna be honest with you, I do not know.
How many Democrats?
You would only be concerned if you currently have 3 members of one party.
Yeah.
So you would need to know that. If you're not going to appoint an independent, you would need to evaluate what the current ones
I don't know, that,
are. You can have no more than 3 from one
that should be
party.
in the minutes somewhere, I would think, or the previous council should know that, or,
Well,
I think it's in our book, I can look it up and find out.
I don't know.
They used to
No,
label
it's-
them, what the appointments are,
As far as the ones that are appointed,
or
or,
what's on there, yeah.
It's
It should be
labeled.
labeled.
I don't think
you're saying her board appointments should be in our book?
Yeah, we have a book that has all the appointments and stuff in it, and things like that, so it should be, I would say it is, but.
because I don't think the document that I get from you has that. I don't think the document that I was, has whether they're Democrat
What
or,
do you get from us, though?
I get what is signed by them.
Right, you get the resolution, it's, this is a paper that we keep to keep track of all the appointments. So, it should be. For someone.
So, in that ratio, does the mayor and Janet count, or just the other 4 board members?
I don't know.
Okay, Sherry doesn't, Janet doesn't count, and then neither does the mayor, correct?
No, she's not supposed to be voting member.
Okay, so that's
No, she
1.
can vote.
Yeah, only
Yeah.
if there's what?
Yeah, she can vote.
She is a member solely by virtue of being in that office.
I can say that Daryl always voted until come out of there.
I thought there was one time where they said, no, I wasn't even allowed to vote. I was just a member of the
Yeah,
body.
they can vote. I was told at one time that they couldn't, but they can.
That's where I was trying to find those.
I don't,
And I did some research with the HUD site, and I didn't use very far.
I don't, as far as myself, I don't know those, so.
I personally would like to see the opportunity for the other interested individual to at least be interviewed or spoke to or give opportunity.
The way that would happen, the way it stands, the mayor made the appointment. So either you vote her up or down, or let it die. And if you let it die, then you would ask the mayor to reconsider or to consider other candidates. You all don't get to pick the candidate.
So motion failed? Make the motion. All right.
I wish there wasn't a process, but in that form of government, that's the way that you appoint, so, like, it's in our best interest to approve or deny. You say we let it stand and then we can.
Either that, or you could filibuster it, or you could do the nuclear option. Those last 2 comments were meant to be funny.
Do we have a current vote?
Have you ever had this happen before?
No, I've been executive director since 2003, and I've never come to the council meeting when they appointed someone, because that's, the mayor was the one that
does the appointing, or does,
Not the only thing,
That's
it's
right.
a recommendation, and then the council makes that decision on whether to appoint them or not.
the reason why I brought you here tonight, because I know how you and Sherry get along, I know how all the things have gone up, and I knew that we were running into this because of Sherry.
So
That's why I have you here.
I think the question's not about whether Sherry's a good candidate for it. I think it's obviously the perception, right? It's a perception of the public. It's not about whether we think it should be on or off or whatever. When citizens come to us as council members, it's about perception, and that's the questions we get. I think that's why we're at this spot. It's not that anybody disagrees. It's necessarily. It's more perception of the public and how it's perceived, and then concerns are brought to us. So. You know, in my mind, it's more of a, I want to protect the perception of our city and integrity of that, and it's not that anybody's good or bad, it really falls to that. So that's what my thing is. I have no problem with her, and I feel like, you know, in my eyes, she can be approved, and that'll be fine. But we have had concerns come to us, and there are perceptions.
What are those perceptions?
It really falls down to anything in regards to, you know, domestic partnership, if we live in the same location. You know, just as, you know, I asked the question when I was running for council, can my mom serve on the ethics committee, you know, if I'm a council member? You know, I asked that question because of perception, because I don't want to be perceived there are any nepotism issues or anything like that. It's not that anybody thinks anybody's doing something wrong, it's more of that public perception we always have to keep in mind. Just like intent, anything that we do, we need to keep the best perception and intent in mind. So that's where I think this comes from. It's not that anybody thinks that anyone's wrong or there is a problem. I personally don't think there's a problem for serving on that. Again, it comes back to me as a council member. My interest is in the public of what's the perception there, and there are going to be questions. That's where it comes from.
Well, I think
That's
there's
my
also an opportunity to move forward and to evaluate change. Change is good. Change, that is, it's the embodiment of what our whole council stands for. We want to move forward. We want to make positive and impactful changes for our city, for our housing authority, for our future. And I really, truly feel that we need to give other people an opportunity. Instead of keeping it the same common people that are always sitting on the same boards and the same, you know, other people need opportunity to have the opportunity to at least be evaluated and try.
Well, once again, I'm going to say, Sherry did not even serve a 4-year term, you know, because she finished up her term. So, you know, she's not been on the board, you know, for 1 term.
So for 2 years, she's been on for 2.
So,
So I'd like to move that we table it. That can be done, correct? Move table to the next meeting.
Can you wait that long? I don't think she can wait that long time.
Yes. How long do we know about this appointment?
We just found out.
her appointment was ended actually the 28th of March.
Ordinarily in Kentucky, and I know this is an odd situation because she's not a public official, but ordinarily when there's an expiration, you continue in office until your successor is placed. I don't know if that applies to positions or if there's a hard
Actually
date.
had to,
I called Lowell the other day when you told me that her
you had to
appointment was on.
extend, and I just extended it to the 12th, and, which would be tomorrow. And like I said, she's also our check signer, so.
Sure.
Yeah.
Is there potential that any of the other 3 ladies could step up to be check signer?
We could, yes.
Has any of them expressed interest?
No.
Does it have to be the chair that signs?
No, it doesn't.
And then who
Actually, at one time, there were 3 of us
that could sign
that were
checks?
listed to sign
We
checks.
did that with several organizations too, to where one was gone, then you had a second person to double sign the checks.
We just didn't get that done this time, so.
Well, I don't think changing a check signer should be that difficult. You just, right? I mean, if that's the main issue.
If you knew somebody at the bank, it could be easy.
Yeah, I mean, that shouldn't be what holds you up. But
I know
I would
that's-
also like to know, I mean, these other 3 ladies, so not one of them have expressed interest in taking leadership? Okay,
Was
so
there
then that
any
tells me we
approach?
need to change. We need someone who's going to take initiative and be more of a leader and step up and make positive impact. The housing authority impacts a great deal of our city, correct?
Yes.
We have a lot of residents there. How many?
31 families.
31 families.
And then who appoints the chair, or is it voted upon by that committee?
It's determined by the board.
It's determined by the board. I mean, I know it's quite simple to add somebody on to sign checks. I know we've done it with BCA, and I think you were the one that did that.
Well, we do it all the time. And I'm not going to tell you that it's really not a big deal.
Yeah, it is, I mean,
I have the motion to table till next meeting.
It was May, was it second?
Possibly.
Repeat what you said about tabling, or not tabling it, letting it die. What did you say about that?
Oh, I was just giving you the different options. One is you could make a motion to approve, a motion to deny, a motion to table, or not do anything, which means that the appointment will not be approved. And it would just continue to be a vacancy. If you table it or vote it down or let it die, then you would continue to have a vacancy.
The thing is, we really need to have 5 members on the board. So if you table it, then we're, you know,
Can't get it done.
Wouldn't you still act as an active member until that appointment is made?
Yeah, well, it depends on how they're structured.
Well,
Continue, right, like she has been.
but the extension was to April 12th, right? Which is tomorrow. So then we, after tomorrow, we would have.
To make a request for another extension.
we need to look at it, we need a chairperson.
What's a quorum on your board? 3 or 4?
We have to have 3.
3? I think it should be 4 right now, so you can continue functioning.
There's a motion made and seconded, and it's a priority motion, so you need to vote on that.
Also, it's,
They would. Should we call Frank or Wilton?
You said you had other interested parties. Do you have anything to get to council from them that they're interested? Or
What is the process? Does he just need to come in and talk to you? Or
people send in letters saying they're interested?
Okay.
Something. My letter would be best, that way it can be submitted to all of you.
advertise that position being open or anything like that, or is it just?
I don't do that with
I argued about that several years ago, that when the boards come up, I think it's good that we advertise it out either via Facebook, some kind of something. Because there's lots of people that want to be on boards,
I
but.
think, did we do it one time for you? No one replied to it?
But again, it's,
Yeah,
it goes back to that perception thing, when it's an appointed thing, just like recreation committee.
yeah.
It's not that it's wrong, it's just that it's perception that it's welcome community. You know, to get involved and to ask for input.
When you don't ask, then you send out that perception. we don't
Perception
want you.
that nobody else.
Not just that we have a website coming soon. We can put it on there. That's what it is.
I guess our young man that signed the paper is gone.
No.
The young man who signed the paper is gone.
You're gonna lay back in now?
Yeah, 2 things. Our audit was supposed to have been,
They've been done. They come here and said they completed, but I have not heard what their final draft, final report or anything from them. But the last time she was here, she said
first
she's
our
done.
copy sent to the legal local, or the Department of Local Government in February 28th. And we still don't have an audit in our hands.
What is it? We don't, I've talked to the Department of Local Government. They don't have to have that once submit it to them when you're done.
And it's done. I
So,
thought there was a deadline.
it's not like a deadline like you have to submit, 'cause I even called them twice because someone else has checked on that, and they just
So the
said that's
deadline's
just
not
the,
deadline?
right. I mean, she says you don't have to have it submitted to them by then. When yours is completed, you submit it to them.
Okay.
So I've
So we
called
don't
her
know
twice
what
to
the holdup
confirm.
is, or
They are just,
slow?
I mean,
And this company cost us how many more $1,000 than the previous company?
yeah. So we got one more year with them before the contract's up. So I will get with them to get an update on it, but I know it was a couple weeks ago when she was here last. And it usually takes them a while to put everything together. And she said he would be the one coming back again, so she's done all the work. I don't know, same thing around last year.
Well, I think we were here, what, January, February?
You wasn't?
They were
Said
here
in
January,
March, I think.
We always, it was always like completed in February, and then the March meeting, we always went over, they came presented at the March meeting.
The ones in March.
And,
The
it
newest?
was either March, you know.
They were later than last time too.
Maybe March or April, but in years past, it's always been
Oh,
the
yeah.
March meeting. Yeah.
And just, we can discuss that too in another year, but Paul Max is still interested.
Yeah.
So just to keep that open. But I will call and get an update from Patty. We may have a special meeting if they get done. To go ahead and do that too, if we need to. Huh?
I said, I know Mr. Paul Max too.
Do a good job.
And last fall, or sometime, whenever the camera system at the sewer plant was taking up the 2 cameras, whatever happened to those? Because they were only 3 years old. Where are they at? I mean, that's city property, but where did it go?
They're here somewhere.
The cameras in the sewer plant. We had 2 cameras, right? And we had a driveway thing that detected motion in the driveway.
So,
Yeah, with the 2 cameras, whatever happened to them. And whatever they had out there, like I say, it was bought in 2013.
That was
So
the
3 or 4
other
years ago.
debacle, nobody could prove that they were city bought or something, right?
right.
That was the big
There's a
debacle.
monitor thing, is that like, they don't look like
The cameras.
but it's a little monitor thing that was taken from the sewer plant, that was in the box, but I don't know if this was covered.
What was the monitor? It had to be hooked up to a camera.
Mine and the cameras, no, there's cameras. And the microphone, I don't know where those cameras are, I have no idea, I have to call them and find out.
That's taxpayers' money.
I thought we get them confiscated. What, who?
Confiscated, they were city property, you can't confiscate.
Well, yeah, but I thought we took everything down, we took it for an investigation, and that's why Hank came
No,
and
this
all
is-
the ones.
Sandy has all this stuff, what's it in the.
That's-
This
I'm
is
not
like
talking
all
about
this-
personal property, I'm talking
So
about,
these are the
cities,
supposed security cameras that the city supposedly buy, which we can't find the invoices for, correct?
No, we did
That
find
they
two,
took
wait a
down.
second, but I don't remember there being 2 cameras. Is that what,
There were 2 cameras with microphones on them.
You have one here.
that you took from there? Not
You
invoices.
have-
Okay, so I don't,
So they were out there,
Yes.
and so we don't.
I gotta call Mark, find out where they're at.
Just call.
Mark, the guy who put the cameras up.
Okay.
I'll call him and find out where they're at.
like I said, they weren't functioning and they're garbage, fine, but they were viable, functioning pieces of equipment, right? They were what, 3, the last fall, they were 3 years old.
Well, everybody we interviewed at the city did not pay for those. Only thing that the city paid for, then like you said, was the little monitor, that was it.
Then who paid for the camera?
If those we can't find, who was in there. Susan's been looking now.
There's a purchase order for Northern Tool, and I looked it up on the
yeah,
internet.
but that's not what gets paid off of.
No.
So we have to find,
Then you should have had a bill from Northern Tool that would
and that's what
Hey.
Susan could never find, was nothing on that. But we did find something, but I don't think it was 2 cameras. It was the monitor that I'm telling you, that the monitor screen and another.
2 wireless, something system with monitor, and a driveway alarm.
Did you all have new cameras put up on there?
Yeah, but I don't know what happened to
The old ones?
the, they were functioning pieces of
Camera
equipment.
monitor, I think is still in that box. But when you're saying about 2 cameras, I think it's.
I'll have to call Mark.
Yeah, but
Are the cameras still pointing?
Purchase order 7680.
I don't think that was.
I bet
that was.
I don't
Hasn't
know.
moved them, right?
7680.
Yeah.
So what is your purchase order set now?
I haven't talked to Mark.
You go back and
They
they
file away until an invoice is done.
No, I haven't looked.
And that's quite a
It was all, it was for you to move them off the desk.
When Mark comes in, yes, we will have, I haven't
She
seen.
found one, so let me
That's what I'm telling you.
that's what's mentioned.
it would be much fun to check and make sure PO.
No, I mean, it'd be an invoice that would have been an invoice.
Whoa, wait a minute, whoa, wait a minute. Mark was just up here. He installed, he did City Hall. Since then, he was in City Hall.
No, he doesn't,
But I
You
can,
get
I know
it
what we
taken
already
down?
found, the only thing Susan said she could find.
can Gary take them down enough?
I want him down out of the office. Can Gary take him down?
The young man can come in and take care of him, because if we tear him up, that's what he does, right?
Why do we need to take them down?
They're pointing at their desk. There's an issue with that. They're pointing straight at their desk.
The one that's in Todd's office goes right out through here, like this. Todd was complaining with somebody,
I've seen the security
it's not at the desk, is it? It's right out.
It's pointing at their desk. There should be no reason why they're in personal offices, is what it's saying. Personal space.
I will call Mark Tucker tomorrow and have him to come in and move the one from Todd's. Todd was complaining about somebody being on his computer, tearing up his computer, getting on there, getting stuff off his computer and messing up his computer. That is not pointing at his desk. His desk that's here, that camera points that way. That's where it goes. It does not point at his desk. You've been down there, you've seen it.
I've seen the monitor, yes.
I glanced at the monitor with all the cameras, and I don't, it's nothing I don't think it's
There's
nothing
an
out of the ordinary
expectation.
that you normally see, but, you know.
There's an
I don't-
expectation of privacy is where,
And have you had city workers complain?
yes.
Have you seen it on the monitor that it's pointing at his desk?
It's not pointing.
I could see their desk. I watched Dawn, sit there and watch them. I sit there and watch them do, pick her up. Pick her up, and there's a reason, when
They ain't the bathroom.
there is a reasonable amount of expectation of privacy.
You don't know.
And we never had them in offices before. They've been in common areas.
Can I make a recommendation that if there are complaints, can they bring them to council or submit them anonymously to council or,
Well, then they become a matter of open ethics.
well,
And so they can request them, and that's the problem.
I guess my thing is, it could be hearsay, if
Yeah.
there's nothing to stand on, I haven't heard concerns besides the one time when they were at the meeting, but
I mean, I can send a memo to employees, try and see if they.
I don't want to put them in a bad situation, they don't feel like they can say something, I guess I'm just trying to, if they feel like there's a problem that we need to address. you know. Nobody's contacted me personally to say it's an issue, but I guess they have you.
He was right here, why didn't I say something?
And, yeah. Well, I didn't think of it, I didn't know. It was
No, why didn't I say something? If it's bothering you, because, you know what I mean?
Mayor, if you're finished with the agenda, there's one more thing that came up today that I'd like to brief council on.
Okay.
Please.
Go ahead.
Are you all finished?
No.
Okay, there is a property owner, Courtney, on Reservoir Hill Road, who has asked the city to annex their property. They've got a 2.4366 acre parcel. It's not in the city. They would like to be in the city. I believe this came up previously, and the previous council basically took a straw vote and said, okay. So we now have the paperwork. We have the plat and the legal description. Today I drafted up an ordinance, and if there's no objection, I can go ahead and do first reading and get that thing on the ball.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it was money for us. I think this council was already familiar with it too.
I think we were brought
I
to
think
speak
we done
on
it the first of the year.
first meeting.
To make sure you all were.
I think it was.
Okay. Well, this is ordinance number 2017, next number, an ordinance of the city of Falmouth in Pendleton County, Kentucky, and annexing certain real property, being the Courtney property, located at 419 Reservoir Hill Road on the eastern edge of the current city limits, all is more particularly described and illustrated in the exhibits to this ordinance. This is a voluntary annexation where we don't have to have a waiting period, the possibility of a vote. There's a legal description that's attached, there's a plat that's attached, and there's a consent to annexation that is attached. Those are the exhibits that I mentioned. So that's first reading.
Tell them it's free, it's the city.
And Chrissy will give you a copy of it so you can read it. Thank you for your.
Just, yeah, I think I've got our copy in your box.
Everybody make a roll? Still 11 o'clock. Motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to
I'm just thinking names, I think everybody said it.
Yeah.